time to turn your great idea into reality with Squarespace, because Squarespace is making it easier than ever to launch your passion project. What are you doing? You showcasing stuff? You selling stuff? Hey, the web is the answer. I just made that up. You can easily make a website all by yourself with Squarespace's beautiful templates. And if you do get stuck, they got 24/7 award-winning customer support right there to help you out. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Hi, it's the Giant Bombcast. What are you doing? It's June 8th.
What are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing? It's June 8th.
I haven't left. I've just sat here waiting.
Sat here since last week or since the Ratchet and Clank stream this morning?
You guys said 7 a.m. and then I showed up at 7 a.m. the second you said that, and I haven't left. I
You just got to be ready to produce.
Yeah, I have these 2 cups just in case.
All right, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it happen. Is that
Jan?
All right?
One Jan, 2 cups.
All right, that's good.
That one. Okay. All right. Well. All right.
You better do it. You better do it.
I'll do it. I'll keep doing it when we're talking about a game I haven't played. You know, it'll be great for the video people. It'll be really bad for the audio people.
Gotta go out on what's W.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gerstmann. I'm your host. Joining me is Jan Ochoa with his cups. He's getting close.
Almost there, baby. Almost there.
Almost there. Almost there, baby. Jeff Bacalar is here. Good to see you, sir.
Hello.
How are things? Good.
Things are going good. I'm relaxed. I was on vacation last week, and I got away with not having to go to the beach for 5 out of 7 days, which is a win in my book.
Beautiful.
And I know that everyone in my family hates me for having that opinion, but I'm happy to share this podcast with you all today.
Well, we will not.
No.
Why not? What's up? Is it the Irish skin? Do you have Irish skin like me? I assume everyone's got Irish skin.
Yeah,
Nope.
Me too.
Just,
Yeah.
I just very pale, incredibly pale. The sun hurts me. People don't realize this, but when I'm out in the sun, it's painful. I feel pain
Non-stop.
Well, it's not like chronic, agony, but I can feel it. Like if I'm driving down the road and there's a little bit of sun coming through the sunroof, and it's just sort of like casually hitting the back of my neck, I feel it and I start to lose it a little bit. I'm a pale man.
I got sunburned on the eyeball once, but driving down the road like that. Yeah, I didn't know it could happen.
That's not a thing.
I didn't know it could happen.
One up my paleness.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, I am the whitest person here. I know there's a lot of competition here, but
We talked about it at one point,
Yeah.
Danny. And
Can I have a pale off?
Yeah.
Can I have a pale off?
Sure. Yeah, I was driving down, what was it? Down Highway 1 or whatever. I was driving down the Pacific Coast and the sun was like reflecting off the water or something. And I woke up the next day and I was like, my eye was in bits. I don't know what was going on. So I went to the optician down the road and he looked at it for like 15 minutes. I couldn't really figure out what it was. And then had a think and then went, I've only ever seen this once before. And it was a friend of mine who was out fishing on a boat all day. He said, your eyeball has been sunburned. So it was just like it had sun coming at the side and it had basically a ball on it, like a lump on my eye.
Nope.
Yeah.
This can't be real.
It's like the sun. The sun just trying to. It's like the thing last week with you didn't know, Jeff, but the sun tried to burn my house down by hitting a mirror last week. So
I think I saw a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've clearly in a previous life
yeah.
fucked with the sun.
The sun will get you.
The sun is coming to get you. Jason A. Striker is also here.
Yes. Yeah, I am here.
Yeah. You have trouble in the sun. You do okay in the sun. I do terrible in the sun.
You fuck with the sun?
I don't fuck with that sun.
Fuck with that sun?
No,
Yeah.
no. Shades drawn mostly all the time, except for the one that's behind me, I guess. But I don't mess around. I've been burned before. I don't want to be burned again.
I feel like the sun
man.
ain't what it used to. I was gonna say the sun ain't what it used to be, but that's because it's worse now.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was in
think it's
high
bigger than
school
it
or a
used to be.
kid or something, it was like, let's get out there and fuck around in the sun. And I got kind of a tan, but I guess I burned a little bit. And now all I do is burn. Now I just like I'm out there
burning,
taking,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm burning it down, like taking this kid for a walk, and then I come back and like, ooh, why do my ears hurt so much? And it's like, oh, because I'm an idiot, because I was outside for 40 minutes, and now it's
You've got first-degree burns on them shits. That's why.
There's smoke straight pouring off them.
It's fun to talk about the sun like it was different when we were growing up. Like the sun
wasn't as big.
It seems like it seems like it was different, but maybe I was just outside more. I don't know, but I feel like that used to not happen. I used to be able to go outside and just be like, whatever. We went for a swim. It was fine. And now
I think like when you're younger, like your resistance to that is your tolerance is a little stronger. Like I have a 6-year-old who's trying to be as pale as me, and I feel like I'll have him out in the sun, and he'll be like, yeah, I'm not burned. I'm 6. Like it doesn't affect me. But my dermatologist has told me that all of the skin mutations and garbage that can happen to your epidermis happens before you're 18. Hence my horrific standing with that sun at the moment. So bad news.
We just spent a year indoors. That's got to be part of it. That's
True.
Oh yeah, that probably is part of it. I think even before that, I don't know. It's global warming thing. Something's going on.
Big
Something's
sun.
going on.
You gotta join our subreddit, man. The
Yeah.
sun's getting bigger. I'm telling you.
I think I have like a 3-stage farmer's tan. Oh no, I froze. Well, I'll go fix this.
Is it the sun?
The sun did this?
Bye, John.
Damn it.
Don't forget the sun.
Oh, there we go. I have a 3-stage like farmer's tan. It goes here, and then it's a different color, and then here's a different color.
It's like fade. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a nice
cool.
fade.
Holy shit! Look
nice.
at Dan's thing. Look at that.
Come on. No,
I
you
would
want-
take my
hey,
shirt
come
off,
on,
but I got
let's
too much extra Jan here.
not fuck around here. I mean, hey, come on.
Whoa.
Show us what you got, Jeff. Bacalar. Show us what you got.
there's-
alabaster? No, what is
Look, it's the same. It's the same thing throughout. I have an even paleness. I'm telling you, I fondue dip myself into SPF 83 before I head outdoors every day, dude.
That's smart. I am too lazy to do that, so I just suffer the consequences and go like, I'm still an idiot.
Oh, Jeff, you got to take care of your skin, man.
Yeah, I know.
Get some serums on that. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
get
after you hop out the shower, just
cucumbers on the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like all this whole thing.
Yeah, this one's the same. Oh yeah, okay, just making sure. Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I'm gonna miss
Sun
the
is disgusting. In conclusion,
I'll put my shirt back
the sun is disgusting. Danny O'Dwyer is here. I don't remember if I introduced you properly or not.
Don't worry, I just like to talk
wow.
over everyone so people know I'm there right away. I'm the one with the Irish accent, or the accent that used to be Irish and isn't Irish enough, depending on where you're coming from.
Right. Well, this works out great because I feel like a full 60% of our emails were about Ireland this week. So
cool. Great.
So strap in for the end of the show. But before we get there, we've been working away behind the scenes here for the past month on. Well, it's been longer than a month, I guess, to a certain extent, but for the past little bit here, kind of working on Giant Bomb. It's something we so rarely have had the chance to do over the years because it's just been this hand to mouth, like we don't plan more than 4 days ahead ever. Because their game's coming out. We're going to meet on Monday and plan this out. And there's no time to talk about any bigger picture stuff ever. And it's been frustrating over the years in a lot of different ways. So it's been nice to have this chunk of time to really kind of sit down and kind of think about where we're at and where we want to go. And it's been pretty exciting. Jeff Bacalar came over to kind of help out with those efforts. And has been the contract man in some of this sort of stuff. Mr. Contract, they call him. The closer.
Yeah.
That's his
boxing. I'm in Mega Man 11, actually. Contract man.
Contract man. You just
mistranslation.
Case.
Yeah, just cease and desists to Mega Man. It's just like, stop it. We own the shade of blue. It's not, yeah. But like philosophically, I guess, like I have wanted to be able to expand and work with a wider swath of people. And in most cases, that's been, with the way we were kind of traditionally structured for a lot of years, we just weren't really set up to always really deal with, we need to get some guests in, or hey, are we set up at all to do any kind of like paid, like basically work with other people and pay them and do the stuff you do when you work with other people who aren't necessarily employees. So we've been pushing in that direction, and we've finally kind of gotten there. We've gotten some people over the line, as they say, in that sort of thing. And so like this kind of gets us to where we can kind of start to work with more of those people without having to just like always hire. And it lets us kind of separate some things in a way that lets us think about the internal team, right? We're like, okay, what do we want here? Not 24/7, but the kind of full-time complement of Giant Bomb, and then also the kind of content platform of Giant Bomb. And so as such, we've been talking to folks for this kind of like first phase of this to work on kind of getting them in here so that they can make cool shit. At the end of the day, I just want to make cool shit. And if we can also help other people make cool shit, like this company that picked us up earlier this year, they're like, hey, we got some money. How do you want to spend it? I was like, I want to spend it helping people make cool shit. So we're going to take their money and feed it to our friends, and
we're just laundering is what.
Yeah, and get it out there.
Pokemon cards ain't gonna pay for himself, buddy.
Exactly, baby. No, so it gives us this opportunity to kind of do more stuff and not always be locked into like, oh, we added this thing and now it's going to happen for every week from here to eternity. And so it lets us kind of think about shows the way we always wanted to think about shows, which was like sort of seasonally, in terms of like, hey, you're a person who doesn't work here, but you're a person that we, want to do stuff with, but you obviously also have like 6 other jobs. So does this time frame work? Hey, maybe you come in and do 6 episodes of this, and then you go back and you're busy for 8 months and you come back and do some more, or maybe and maybe there's some people that are more available that we work with on a more regular basis. So it's this kind of open-ended thing in a way too, where different people are going to be in different circumstances, and that kind of brings us to the most particular circumstance, I think, and that's Danny O'Dwyer.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily
tiny number one, baby.
And I guess it sounds like as well, we'll get into it, I'm not necessarily the template for the way this is going to work with everyone else.
Sure.
Because I'm going to be on the sort. How are you delineating like the house shows or the like what are quick looks on Bombcast and stuff like that to everything else?
Right. I mean, I think that'll be kind of like core coverage type stuff, right? The stuff that we are kind of known for. It's editorial coverage at the end of the day. I think, at least so far, but because a lot of the pitches I think we've been getting aren't things that you would necessarily think of as like editorial coverage of new releases and that sort of stuff. So, I think that's the sort of stuff that we will probably continue to take on in this capacity. And yes, Danny is not maybe the typical example of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
As we're bringing on Danny for more than just the kind of pitch a show type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean,
what do you
want to go back, or will I?
Well, I was going to say, like, let's swing back around to you because I definitely want you to have at least 11 to 12 seconds to speak about what exactly you want to do. No, but I think to your point, Jeff, like, I think it's important to realize, like you said, the relationship that we are having with these contributors that we are bringing along is going to be a unique kind of relationship, and like you said, sometimes temporary, and it kind of exists outside of that core thing that you alluded to. But there are couple parties that we'd like to talk about today. And then I want to swing back around to Danny just to get maybe 3 to 4 seconds of.
You keep giving him less and less time.
Just
2.5.
I know, right? What's going on?
The sands falling out of the hourglass.
Dude, I charge by the hour. Give me something more than that. Come on.
All right, we'll do 59 minutes. So, like you said, getting to talk and work with our friends is, the immediate sort of goal of all this. So, I'm excited. We're gonna be working with a very noted scoop getter, newsman, an all-around seemingly very huggable individual. Jeff Grubb is going to be coming around to help us out with
Another Jeff.
Too many Jeffs.
Fill out your bingo cards.
Basically,
another Jeff.
Once we got to a point where there had to be more than one Jeff, which I was already pissed off about because my contract was specific about only being one. But once we got
thank
to
you
two,
for altering that. Thank you for opening up the Jeff clause. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I trust that you'll be sending the payment as we agreed upon.
Yeah.
And so if we're gonna have more than one Jeff, let's get them all in one way, shape, or form. So
just the J Jeffs though. Just the J
exactly
Jeffs.
The real exactly. Where is Jeff?
The real Jeffs.
Sorry,
no
Keely.
Can we get my barber for another Jan? Is that possible?
Ooh.
I don't know if you want to open that door.
Jan.
What?
It's crazy.
He's all.
You got any Jasons or Daniels in there at all?
I know a few. Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see if we can bring them on board.
Let's keep going through our little list here. So yes, Jeff Grubb is going to be working with us on a Giant Bomb show, and we'll have more information about that very soon. We've been wanting to work with our friends at GameSpot for a long time, and we finally can make something official. Starting very soon, I'm going to be joining Timur Hussein and Lucy James in a brand new show for Giant Bomb that we're very excited to get going on. We're going to be talking a lot more about that after E3. And before we loop back around to Danny for his 1 second of information,
I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've done this to me.
What we can announce today is a collaboration with someone who, to be honest, I have very mixed feelings about.
Yeah.
Same.
This is something we've thought long and hard about, but ultimately, we think it's best that we continue to make content together in some form. So this summer, Dan Reichert and I will be starting a new show for Giant Bomb.
Disgusting.
And
sorry, Jason.
It feels icky to say it, but Dan Reichert and I will be doing a show for Giant Bomb, and I think it's worth saying that this is the beginning of that sort of stuff. I think there's a lot of things that I would love to talk about today that we are still working on that I'm personally excited about, but we're just not there yet. This is an evolving story. This is a growing list, but this is what we can talk about right now. And I've decided that Danny, maybe you get as much time as you want to talk about some of your stuff, my friend.
The hour's not up, so I mean, take your time.
I mean, you're on the clock, buddy. Have at it.
Well, it doesn't really matter what I want to do now, because all that's going to happen is people are going to say, "Oh, great, Dancers has to come back." Like that's all anyone's going to say to me. So, hilariously, myself and Reichert have not talked about this at all privately because I wasn't supposed to know, and he was. So now I'm looking forward to chatting to him about that, about him coming on. I'm just so excited about the prospect
both
of all
known
this stuff.
also. Like I'm trying to think through if you both knew,
like ships in the night.
Yeah,
we're just texting about other stuff the whole time and just never bringing it up. It's just I love I'm a big I'm here on the Bombcast, but you see all this shit behind me. I'm a big fanboy of this site, and I love the idea of this. Like it's almost become like SmackDown or Raw, like this just like constantly changing roster of like cool people coming in. So I'm excited to be working with you guys a bunch. This is it's been a lot of
Likewise.
fun doing the Bombcast, man. Like, you know, it's one less podcast I get to listen to a week, so that was problematic. Maybe that was the only bad thing, and then the Beastcast stopped, so I'm kind of stuck right now. But it's like a dream come true, and I love talking to you guys, and I'm really happy to, you know, to be here on the Bombcast for the, you know, future, however long that is, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've been talking to the various Jeffs about this, and everyone else, and yeah, I'm going to be on the Bombcast every week. I'm going to be chipping in on quick looks. There has been a serious deficit in European sports on this website, I think, so maybe I can help with some of that stuff. You know, the live streams, the E3 stuff I'll be in on, so wherever there are a bunch of Jeffs, there'll probably be me and Jan and Jason in the future. And then, like, the stuff that I'm really, really excited about as well is you know, I have 10 plus years of weird shows that I would have dreamed about doing on this website that now are suddenly possible. I also, thanks to our amazing patrons, have access to shitloads of really good camera equipment and production setup. And as much as I love the remote stuff, I really want to get some of that stuff out and collaborate with you guys and record some new weird shows and meet space. And yeah, I don't know. I did a vlog on this, which I'll post after this, where I talk about some of this, but I am of the mind, I want to create chaos. I just want to make the weirdest stuff and go to Target with Jan to record Pokemon cards, or film Jason talking about his favorite fighting games. Just there's a million and one different things I want to do, and we'll talk about it. Some of the stuff has already been sort of like planned, and I've been talking to some of the other folks you mentioned about doing stuff. Yeah, so we'll talk about sort of what those are after E3, but yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, I think that for me that's kind of the core thing is I want this website to be weird. I want this website to be less predictable than maybe it has been in the past, and for me that's like, but we still have the tent poles, right? I mean, there's still a Giant Bombcast every goddamn Tuesday, whether you like it or not, motherfuckers. You know, that Friday live show is sticking around. You know, we've got
real aggro now.
That's right. God damn it. God damn, pal. You know, we want to make sure that we're creating space for things to shift around, and that includes us as well. That's not just like, hey, we're going to bring in this weird menagerie of fun talent to bounce off of and do cool stuff and all that. Like, I think that helps kind of get us out of some of that. You know, it has been a rut at times over the years, and I think it's time for this thing to really change. And part of that is just to keep it fresh, but also, you know, in a lot of ways, this gives us the opportunity to really kind of push the reset button on a lot of stuff. You know, we made a lot of decisions in 2008 that I look at now in terms of like how games are covered and all this other stuff. And I want to be able to ask the questions about like, hey, is this still the right way to do this? Like, you know, it's very easy to get locked into stuff because you're like, well, the numbers say this and this proves it works and this proves this. But like, really, we've just got an opportunity to really rethink what it means to be covering games in 2022, you know? And what does that look like now? What is the website? What is the video service, whatever you want to call it, the podcast network, we'll see where we get to with all of this stuff, right? Like what is that? What is the thing that we ourselves would want to use to get this information? And so I want to be able to, whether that's facilitating cool shit by other people that we're working with and all that sort of stuff, or also opening more doors for us to really kind of explore game coverage all over again. I think that's the big draw, is to be able to really make a lot of changes to what's going on and kind of make sure it makes sense for the way game information is presented nowadays. You know, like preview of, I mean, look at what E3 is like. It's like 5 live streams. It's, you know, and then, you know, Capcom's going to talk about games that are already out and this sort of stuff. Like, everything is weird, and everything will be weird again next year because we'll be talking about physical events again. I hope. And so, you know, the video game industry has changed a lot, and it's beyond time for us to be able to really look at that change and see what amount of that change we want to reflect in the way that we're covering games. And for me, I think that's been the really exciting part about all this, is to feel like we kind of have not quite a blank canvas, right? We have years of legacy, you know, and years of experience to draw upon, but we really get to rethink this stuff in a way that we wouldn't have had, you know, we not found ourselves under new ownership in a weird way. Like that's kind of been the catalyst for some of this stuff. I was about to throw a previous owner of this company under the bus, but I'm not going to bother.
No, but to your
there
point,
are people to listen to the pitches now. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we've been pretty transparent about the fact that we feel like we are in a really good position, and we are, you know, situated in a way that gives us this flexibility, gives us this, let's be honest, budget to explore and do stuff that, you know, even before I arrived and you know, we just seemed like we were not able to do in a meaningful way. And to have that support means a lot, and it feels good. And you know, how can you not get excited about that, right? Like, so yeah.
I'm excited from like just looking at the way the site has been and what you guys are talking about, and also like this from, you know, you're kind of talking about it now, but like the later phases of this also like seem really interesting and weird, and like I'm really enjoying just how nimble everything is, like from here on out. Like it seems like there's less from like a content perspective of like making different types of things. I think this puts everyone in a really good position to like react and make something really weird. Like there's no need anymore, because if I was pitching a show to a Giant Bomb a year ago, there's a need to have it fit into the programming in a particular way, right? Include certain people, or be this way or be this way. But the way you're talking to, and I know some of the projects that are being talked about, it just has this sense. It's hard to put words to it, but from a creative perspective, it has a sort of the further you go from the norm, actually, the better. Like, let's fill out the space rather than stay here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would love to, you know, I think there are a ton of different directions to take it, and I think that I am, like, there's like several outcomes that I'm like totally happy with, right? Like if we get to like phase 12 or, you know, whatever, and this happens or this happens, I think some of that'll be guided by the market and what people are into, and that sort of stuff. But like, you know, there are various scenarios where we get to the end of this and we've got a wrestling website again, or they're back on the table, right? That was years ago. That was something that we were very close to pulling the trigger on when we were an independent company, and the fact that WWE was suing YouTube was the only thing that stopped us from pursuing it, because it was like, Vince McMahon's pretty sue happy. I don't know if we want to launch a wiki with a bunch of photos of John Cena in it right now. But you know,
but you can't see him anyway, so. Well,
yeah, it'd just be a bunch of black. It'd be like the F1 franchise page. And so, you know, so there's stuff like that, and you know, and I think right now the current website that we have doesn't necessarily reflect where I think we're going to go. So I think there's, you know, like we rebuilt it all for shows, and just like, here's going to be shows and seasons and all this structure. And I think as we built more and more of that structure, suddenly the content had to fit that structure, and it became this weirdly confining thing in a sense of just like, especially during the early days of the pandemic, when we were just like, we just want to fucking stream and just like do some cool shit and just like have some fun and chat with folks and do this. It's like, well, I guess we got to create a show page for a catch-all for this, for that. And it was just like, this thing is not flexible the way it needs to be, or whatever. But you know, the podcast is the center of what we do. It always has been. And so I look at that as the centerpiece, and that's not currently well represented on the website we have today. but I think that, as we kind of go in different directions, I think we'll be able to kind of reassess that sort of stuff. The engineering team is working day and night, I bet, on a lot of the video changes that have to happen as a result of the sale of the company. There's just a lot of things happening under the hood right now that aren't giving us quite the, we can't go to them right now and be like, redesign the site like this, but like I want to eventually redesign this website again to kind of better fit what we're talking about and better present us for what we're doing. Because I think that that's not to say all the decisions we made building the current version of the website were the right decisions at the time. And as we got into it, I think it's one of those things where it's like, we're ready for something else. This is close, but it's not quite right. And we need to rethink this stuff again and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's like, there's a lot of stuff that comes with it, but whatever, that's all around the edges. The core of it is we want to work with people. And we're, there's other people that we've talked to that have not appeared on this site before, or there are people who have not, or are not traditional people that you would think of as covering video games. And Woo! Like some of that stuff's really exciting, and we'll kind of see how that stuff comes together. But like it's stuff that's all contract talk and pitches and all this other stuff, and and I think I want to talk to the people out there that are watching and be like, hey, as we get into this stuff and as we start kind of greenlighting some of these concepts and get things on the site, like I want to see how it's going to do, and we'll see what people like and what people don't like, and other people out there in the community that want to pitch us. We're probably not ready for those pitches just yet, but there's always room for some kind of mahjong nightmare or something. There's always something, right? There's
wait, should I get are we hiring my grandma?
Yeah. Tell your grandma to make a deck.
Yeah. Oh, dude, let's go.
No,
Be right back.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely want to also, talking to the audience. So, there's a bit of thanks that has to be directed at them, because this last month, there's a lot of understanding that had to sort of happen and support. And, I think I speak on behalf of anybody where we say that we appreciate that to an endless degree. And, now's the fun part. Now's the part where we start to ramp up and kind of show what's been going on. So it's
thanks for sticking with us, for sure. This is stuff we had been talking about for a while, and then kind of got accelerated a little bit as some other stuff happened, and we've been digging into it and chewing our way through it, and it's been exciting to watch it all develop. And so it's pretty cool. I think it'll be pretty cool. I think people will dig it. And, like I said, we're still kind of figuring out some aspects of this. The traditional, who is the traditional person that we're going to sign on for one of these deals, and who like, what is the structure of that? Like, that's all kind of, there maybe is no template for it, because I think we're going to have different people in different situations doing different stuff. And maybe someone comes in and just does one thing, and they're just like, cool, we did this. And then they bounce to get back to their day job of dropping elbows and whatever else. But like there's just like all sorts of stuff like that. So I think there's just there's just a lot of opportunity out there, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go through this and find some more folks to work with and blow this thing out. Have some fucking fun. Get fucking weird. I'm
ready.
Sure. Like frankly, when I was I had to make a choice as well whether or not this was something. I was happy to come in and hang out and just fill a seat for a little while. But like, I had to make a choice of like, is this a place that I have a day job, I have a busy thing. No Clip's not going anywhere. I still have a Formula One podcast. I'm busy, and my main concern was like, is there still fighting these guys? Like, is there energy here? Do people want to do something? And like, if we've all got really complicated lives, we have a lot of family stuff, the pandemic's been crazy. I wouldn't have begrudged anyone for wanting to coast, right? Like, absolutely. Creatively, I was like, if I want to be part of this, then You know, I want everyone else to have that energy. And that's the thing that struck me right away from talking to you guys was, oh yeah, you're fucking in for, like, I feel more energy now than I have since I was, since I chipped in before. Like, you can feel it in the room, the sort of desire to like make this weird and make it big and really break the box open. So I'm really grateful to be here, but I think the audience should know that there's been so much positivity and energy behind this thing that I'm just really excited to see where it goes.
Right on.
Yeah, same here. So that's E3 stuff is obviously happening over the course of this week, and Danny's going to be here with that stuff, and some of these other shows are going to be developed. And I see some folks in chat kind of asking about premium and not premium and stuff, and I think that's something that may end up being case by case depending on some of these shows, and I think some of the structure of that maybe changes to where there's like, okay, we're going to put highlights up for everybody, but the full shows are behind the wall, or maybe the first episode's free, or this, just in all honesty, like that's all stuff that we're kind of working out. So but the intent is definitely that, the intent here overall is to make sure that you are getting value for your money. Like that is the desire, is to make sure that the people that have been sticking with us and signing up for premium are getting a bunch of cool shit. So, yeah, we'll have more to say as we kind of get this stuff signed on. So cool. Why don't we take a break and come back, and I'll talk about my broken computer.
Oh no! Oh no! Forgot about that.
Oh, this fucking
thing.
Right. Swear to God.
Yeah, no Bitcoins for Jeff.
Nope. No mining. No mining.
We were gonna do Bombcoin, and then that happened. So
we're not doing Bombcoin anymore. My contract says I got paid in Bombcoin. We're gonna have to.
Oh yeah, you do. This. You do.
Oh yeah.
You're breaking up, man. You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Dreams, forget them. Reality is what we're all about here. So if you can't turn your dream into reality, what good is it? A dream is a reality that you haven't hallucinated yet. I think that's how that saying goes, right? Is that no? A reality. Hallucinations are a dream that you turn into. Stop hallucinating and get on Squarespace, because Squarespace is making it easier than ever to make it real. What are you trying to make real? A new business? You trying to get your work in front of people, publish some stuff? You trying to sell some things? Squarespace is the tool for you. They've got beautiful and real templates created by real world-class designers, and the ability to customize just about anything with only a few clicks, and you can easily make a real, beautiful website, all by your real self. All optimized for mobile, nothing to patch or upgrade. Award-winning customer support is there if you need it, but it's easy. It's just optimized right out of the box, ready for you to build something real, sell some stuff, get the real analytics, the numbers that you can crunch yourself. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/bombcast, and the offer code is BOMBCAST. All right, you're the hiring expert for your company. But what you really need is help making your shortlist of quality candidates. You need a hiring partner who helps make your life easier. You need Indeed. Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview, all on Indeed. You can get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. You only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications, and schedule and complete video interviews in your Indeed dashboard. Indeed makes connecting with and hiring the right talent fast and easy with tools like Indeed Instant Match, which gives you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately, and Indeed skills tests that on average reduces hiring time by 27%. You can choose from more than 130 skills tests, and you can add your must-have requirements so that you only pay for applications that meet them. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, You need Indeed. Get started right now with a free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/bomb. Get a $75 credit at Indeed.com/bomb. That's Indeed.com/bomb. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply. And we're back. And Jan,
The cups are not working, Jan.
Cups are
he
not
landed
working
like
out
9
for
of them during the break.
One more, and then I'll put this away.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You can lie.
I wanted to touch
God.
on. I didn't. Yeah. Someone
yeah.
in chat mentioned it that I totally meant to bring it up in the previous segment, but like
you got too excited, Jeff.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's also us, right? There's also us and the kind of full-time employees of Giant Bomb. This team is too small right now. I think everyone
I can't
knows
get any
that.
taller. Okay,
Yeah. Well, just
Aw.
that's why we
flip
have
the cup.
apple boxes.
Just keep flipping the cups and get the apple boxes. And so I
Yay.
look
Touch that
at it. I look at it as like I know we need probably at least one more like editor, like forward facing kind of person, and we definitely need more production help as well. That's something I think we have some stopgap solutions in place for production help on a temporary basis, but also we know we're going to need more people on that front, and that's the sort of thing that kind of, as we get further into it, we'll know what we need when we need it, right? It's the sort of thing of like, oh, we're not just going to go hire 5 producers, but ideally we get to a point where there's so much stuff coming in from external contributors and there's so much schedule management there that we're going to need people to manage that sort of stuff and get that stuff through the process while also having people that can handle live stuff, because right now Jan has been handling damn near all the live stuff. And what if Jan falls off his Apple box?
Oh no!
That's
What
a
do we
long
do?
way
Oh
down.
no! That's
What
a
do
long
we
way
do?
down.
Yeah. So
What if Batista throws him out of the ring?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
A more likely situation.
Yeah.
Gotta go hang with my boy
so-
Davey.
Exactly. So the people we talked about before, those are people that are going to come in as they're not going to be full-time employees. They're going to come in and make some cool shows and hopefully everyone sticks around for a good long time and makes a bunch of cool shit. But if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, that's fine too. We're trying to be flexible on that end of things. But yes, we do know, hey, probably
We need
need
some
some
more
more
butts.
people working on this thing full-time too. And we, yeah, so that's the goal there with that stuff. Let's get into some video game stuff here, and specifically the playing of video games on this new computer I got.
Oh boy.
How's that?
Oh,
no.
Man, I'm so jealous. 3090.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Whoa. How
I've
much
got-
ether you get there, bud?
I got it back here if you want to see it. You see that if you want to see what a broken 3090 looks like.
What?
So
Why'd you
I got
break
this.
it?
I decided to hit it with a hammer for YouTube views. That's the real new Giant Bomb is smashing shit for views,
We are doing some
baby.
wild shit now.
Yeah. So yeah, I waited. This took an extra month or so for this computer to show up at all, which I get it. All the parts are. It's a 5950X and it's a 3090. Like these are hard parts to come by. That's why I ordered a machine, like a machine from an OEM to begin with, because I figured they would have a better line on getting those parts than I would. Still took 2 months, whatever. That not entirely
That's not bad.
surprising.
That's not bad.
Yeah. They had said 3 weeks initially, but hey.
Okay.
But you're not bitter about it.
No, that part, no. That part I'm not bitter about. The part where, like, if you remember last week's podcast, I was constantly looking out the window waiting for that computer to show up. It finally did at the end of the day, and it did not emit video when I turned it on.
It's a problem, I hear.
Black screen out of every port on that 3090, and that was uncool. So I called up. This is from Origin PC, by the way. Who actually, people were like, "Oh, they're normally really good." When I mentioned that on Twitter, people were like, "Oh, they've got a good rep," and that's good to hear. though, well, anyway, I guess I'll tell the rest of the story. So after a while, I was like, well, I guess I need to figure out what's going on here. And I eventually pulled the video card out and pulled the 2080 Ti out of my other machine and put it in there, and then it fired right up. I'm like, fuck.
Killer.
So seems like the GPU is dead. I took that 3090 and put it into the other machine and looked at the power supplies to make sure they all had the right amount of wattage and all this other stuff, and seems all fine.
Well, that's where they found it, is the trash, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever see like the 3090 appear to be powered in any way? Like, did you get some
the fans spin, like all that? Yes,
Okay.
fans absolutely spin, all that sort of stuff. The monitors would detect that they were plugged into something, like it would go out of like the power saver mode, but just black screen. It would never show up on my network, so it wasn't like it was just booting to a black screen. So I was like looking at the router and going, like, is there a device or what's going on?
Right.
And so it seems to be dead. And then I mentioned that on Twitter, and then eventually the CEO of Origin was jumping in my DMs, and because I called. They have an 800 number, so I called that night and ended up on hold for a full hour. And they have a very short hold loop for their music, and that was
wonderful. That's the best.
That was a lot to deal with. And never got a hold of anyone. Turns out they're back east, so like, I don't know, just time zone stuff. They seem to imply that it's 24/7, but no one ever answered that phone. Anyway, long story short, I spent a couple more days with it, and after a couple days, I started swapping cards around and figuring out like, oh, this machine totally works if I just put a different graphics card in it.
Yeah.
And then finally got someone on the phone. And it was actually, to their credit, I thought I was going to have to go through a whole lot of hoops about like, well, did you try this? Did you try this? But as soon as I was like, yeah, I just put a different video card in it and it booted up, they're like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Let's get you another one of those. And
okay.
So 2 more months, right? And then you'll be able to.
So I actually asked if they had them in stock, and the answer was yes, but that was a while ago now, because for part of the RMA process, they did it. They offered it two ways. One is I send the card back to them, they send me a new card, and the faster one is faster. I let them put a hold on my credit card for like $2,000, and they send me the new card first, and then I send them the old card back, which, pretty standard practice, whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
And I was like, yes, I want this card faster. Ideally, I would get all this stuff back in time for E3 and be able to use this for streaming and whatever else that we're going to be doing ASAP. And they were like, okay, great. You should get an email shortly after this phone call. And then you just fill all that out and give us your credit card and we'll get the card on your way. I'm like, awesome. That's badass. Never got the email. Called back the next day. Hey, what's up? How am I supposed to be getting this email? They're like, it shows it's pending. You should get it. This was last Friday. It's like, you should get it by end of day.
Come on.
Oh.
No.
Oh no.
So nothing as of right now. So I don't know what is going on. I am just trying to get this card replaced and be able to use the full extent of the power of this computer I bought. I mean, the CPU upgrade is nice from what I had. The 6700K I was using before this was pretty old. And so I can report that this machine is fully capable of running 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, the PS3 version of 50 Cent Blood on the Sand at full frame rate.
Good.
Has a skull look.
It looks beautiful. So sharp.
Ray tracing. Oh wait, no,
so
no
sharp.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Maybe if we can enable ray tracing, God, wish. So that's where the saga stands. I'm kind of just waiting to get this email from them, and it has not shown up. I don't know what needs to worm through their system before that email gets generated or whatever. But
what a fun, expensive nightmare.
Yeah, it's been a fun, expensive nightmare, one might say.
This is literally the reason why, every once in a while you just, I'll just do the OEM. Like I'm used to building machines, but you know what? I'll just take the hassle out of it. I'll pay a little bit more, and then this is like worst case scenario.
Well, for me, it was like, well, I want to get, I'm due for an upgrade. This machine's getting old. I'm long overdue for an upgrade, and I need to basically do a full rebuild at this point because I need to do CPU and probably should do GPU since I'm going to do that anyway. So it just made sense at that point because I was thinking like, well, OEMs are going to get those parts more easily than I am, like watching bots and restock stuff and going to StockX and buying graphics cards and Jordans.
Yeah, I always got time for that.
Yeah. So I figured this would just be the way around that, and it was, but just the whatever freak accident happened with this card.
Dang.
Sucks. So
right.
Yeah, that's no fun, man.
Yeah.
I I have not. I mean, I remember in the beginning of the 30 series, there were cards that were sort of not DOA, but they were like overheating, or there was some problem with them kind of farting out, and it seemed like some NVIDIA driver update corrected that for whatever reason. There was a lot of like irresponsible conjecture out there of like why this was happening, and then like a driver release comes out and basically snuffs that out. Yeah, but that's weird, man. That just sucks. That's just gotta chalk that up to bad luck, dude.
Yeah, like I'm not, like I wish that they were a little bit more responsive on the tech support side of like getting me what I need to kind of get this thing rolling.
Sure.
And so that's been a little frustrating, but they've been very nice when I have got them on the phone at least. So they don't seem malicious, but I sure don't have this email yet.
How many cores that CPU have?
Was it like 12 or something? It's
12,
like it's a number of cores.
Sorry, you hearing that
thunder?
What?
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm frozen like this now. It was just so much lightning too. Did you see the lightning before?
No.
I missed
Heard
that.
the thunder though.
Ooh, this is a bad
Lightning
guy.
and the thunder.
Turn off your TVs, man.
Yeah. I don't know. If you lose me, you know why. We've got a generator,
Okay.
but
I missed that, man. Those those
on.
Maryland summer thunderstorms were just the raddest thing ever. Like, God, I missed that.
I love a nice
Yeah.
thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They're nice.
But the
Don't get
cores,
nearly enough.
man. I've been trying to render 4K recently, and like
Mhm.
for rendering, like GPU hardware acceleration can like help for sure, but like generally it's like it's CPU, and it's the more cores you have, the better. And there's something of just rendering in 4K. So like it's pushed me like 6 years back in history.
Yeah.
Like right, so it's like
how
suddenly
long
you're like,
the render dances have become.
totally,
Yeah.
like we're back to have like it's like the you get your smoke breaks back. It's like 2 hours until
God.
until this
that
thing's
reminds me
it's
of
so
college
crazy.
so much. Of just like all these people outside the lab, everyone's smoking, and you're like, "Whoa, how long you got on your render?" 400 minutes, and you're just like, cool. You're gonna smoke that entire carton right there? Yeah, maybe get a pizza. Maybe get a pizza too.
Spin donuts in
Write
the
a
parking
book.
lot for a while.
Yeah.
I had my first overnight one that was like way too long, so I had to set it overnight. And then the review the next morning of like this hour-long documentary that we produced, and it's like, you just hope there's not like one render bug or like you misspelled something on a lower third, because like it's not like doing 1080 a year ago where suddenly you can pretty much get stuff out like within 10-15 minutes. So those cores, man, the video editor's got to get those cores.
Yeah, definitely time to core up. And as a side bonus, when you're not rendering video, you can play the PlayStation 3 version of 50 Cents Blood on the Sand quite well. So
As one does. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a nice bonus for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was hearing stories about some of these, especially the 3090s, just bending ports out of the motherboard, because they're so heavy.
That if you're
they got that crutch. They've got that like crutch accessory. Isn't there like a?
No. At least not in this machine.
Did I
or like multiple screws, maybe.
Seriously?
Yeah. But it's 3 screws instead of 2. Like a 2080 Ti is 2 screws, and this one is 3 screws. So that's a lot of screws.
Dang.
But yeah, I don't know. Moved all my hard drives out of my old machine over to this thing, and just need to yank some stuff off the desktop of this old machine, and then I'm gonna retire my server machine, yank all the drives out of it, put it into the machine I just gutted, and that'll be my new server machine for Plex and all this other stuff and all that, but I haven't done that part of it yet, and I'm not looking forward to it.
No,
this has scared me off of. I was half thinking about upgrading, and I'm like, this is like just nope, don't need any of this in my life right now. I'll wait a couple of weeks.
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I'm still in a good spot. Like I'm still happy with 1080p. I want that frame rate. I've got a 2070 right now. I'm good for a little while longer.
I think you're okay. Yeah. I mean, they just announced the 3080 Ti now.
Right. Yeah.
And I think like 20 series people, maybe you're a 40 series person. I don't know.
Got a 2060.
I do think when this generation did come out, I think this was like the path for a huge chunk of people who were waiting. I think the jump in this, was so substantial that I think it really did like push a lot of people over the edge, myself included. So there you have it.
Yeah, I just I want power.
Oh yeah.
For 50 cent blood on the sand on the PlayStation 3. So, it worked out great. That was literally one of the first things I did with this machine once I got it booted up, was to see how well that ran. But that is, I have upgraded PCs to get like Mortal Kombat 3 in MAME running better. Like I feel like I have upgraded PCs for a lot of very atypical reasons over the years, where it's just like, I just need the fast stuff so I can brute force some of this emulation shit, because it's not always super optimized, and some of that stuff can be a little difficult to do and at full speed and all that stuff. So it's certainly not the first time that I've upgraded for, let's call them, dumb reasons. Let's talk about video games. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is out this week. Jeff Bakalar and I have a whole separate video of us talking about that game for about an hour that is up on the website right now if you want to check that out. So there's that. But Danny, you have finished the game, as I understand it.
I did just this morning because I wanted to see what the situation was at the end of that game, because that game has a lot of like very cool open levels that are fun to explore and 100%. But I also kind of wanted to get the story done with a little bit. So I'm glad to report that once you complete that game, it unlocks like a special hard mode, and also it just basically puts you before the final boss fight, so you can go back and do all the levels again.
Wander about.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's great, man. I really enjoyed it. I will say that my experience of playing it for the past 2 weeks, because they gave code pretty early, because this game is pretty long. I think I was maybe about 15 hours by the time I completed it. For a platformer game, it's a pretty solid meal. But my experience was night and day once they got the day one patch up on it, because the 60 FPS mode wasn't on it for the first week. And they got that, I think, a couple of days ago that went live, and it's such a good looking game, both technically with the ray tracing, the frame rate's great, but it's just like the amount of like effects. It's a really busy game, but everything's like very readable. I never had a problem figuring out what I was doing or timing with attacks or anything. With these fights are sometimes in with like dozens of things.
Yeah, I ended up changing I guess I don't know how specific I want to get, but so when you collect the gold bolts, it unlocks different options for you in terms, and some of it's like play the game in sepia tone, like those sorts of like changes. But there is a thing that will let you change the model of what the bolts look like. And I changed them to something else. I won't say what it is, I guess, in case people don't want spoilers on that. But I changed it to something else that ended up making the entire game feel a little bit more readable for me. Like the bolts stood out more, but also the bolts flying out of people in combat made it more readable. So I could see like, okay, this enemy went down, and those are the bolts flying out. That's this. Like I ended up making a tweak there that I ended up really liking.
Was that? Do you think that was a color issue, or was it separate?
No, I'd probably not. But the bolts are pretty small, and so like you see these slightly larger things bursting out of them, and you're like, oh, okay, that fucker's dead. Let's go to these 9 other people and deal with that. And so I made that change. But then there's some other unlockable skin stuff that I thought was like really fun. One that Jan will really like.
What could it be?
Is there like It's like there's a Cthulhu outside Bacalar's house or something, man.
Yeah.
I feel, and I've got a pretty
Jumped.
heavy gate on this mic, and thunder's breaking right through that. No problem.
Nice. Really blowing the gate. Really blowing the gate out.
I don't know what to do here. Maybe I'll
You're
just mute myself to
fine.
like.
No,
okay.
no,
It
no.
kinda
No,
adds atmosphere,
I want to
right?
hear that. I'm
I want
jealous.
the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're jealous of this thunder, is what you are, right?
Yeah,
That's
always. But yeah, I think the PlayStation 5 is the right place for this game. I think I think you'll have people that will try to boil it down to just like, it's just another Ratchet game, and they just made another one of those, and like it is very similar. It is very standard to that blueprint in a lot of ways, but I think that visually and also with the way the load times kind of help the overall pacing of the game, like that thing just fucking moves. Like
Never
level to
stops.
level, you're just like boom, boom. You're like jumping out of the ship already, doing something else, and
feels great.
yeah, that stuff is just incredibly impressive, and really help. I mean, it helps the whole thing, and it is the kind of cliche thing that Sony's been pitching for decades now. But it's like it makes they achieve that kind of cinematic feel to, I think, the entire game. Like even as you're playing it, all that other stuff, like as story is happening while you're playing, as cutscenes are happening, as the game is like snapping you from one location to the next very quickly, like it moves at the pace of film or a series of television shows or something like that. Like there's just not a lot of downtime. There's not that like minute long I'm gonna look at my phone while Shepard rides the elevator, like that shit, and I think that really, really helps here in ways that I don't think I would have expected or anticipated, even though I think that stuff did help with Spider-Man and some of the other PS5 games we've seen, like Returnal, I think uses like the fast load stuff to like great effect. But I think it really helps with Ratchet because so many things in Ratchet can feel like a known quantity, but everything is just crisper. Everything snaps. The weapons are super fun. They're really fun when you start upgrading them more and more.
Yeah.
Like you just start getting like great new twists on weapons you've been using for a while, and
it encourages you to use ones that you weren't using.
Exactly.
Same as the last one, right? Where it's like, hey, the more you use this, the more upgrade options you get available to you.
Yeah. You got to level up the guns and then spend a currency to purchase upgrades for the guns. And there's tons of that currency everywhere.
Yeah.
I've probably put 15-ish or a little bit more. It says 21 hours, but I definitely left the game on and paused for at least a couple of those hours. So, but I was listed as 80% complete when I checked this morning, and that was like with two levels left. So I'm just now starting the last level, if the trophies are to be believed. And I'm probably gonna finish it as soon as we're done here. It's a ton of fun.
It's like a non-stop as well in terms of I remember playing, was it Nuts and Bolts was the last one, where there were times, especially when back into levels, stuff was a little bit empty, or like Spider-Man is a game where like sometimes you have to spend a lot of time getting across the town to do something. There's just no like downtime in this. They have these like open areas. But as the levels start to get bigger, and each of these hub worlds, they're like planets basically, as you start to get them, you're getting access to different types of movement abilities. So by the time you're playing this game, you're just using your like rocket skates to just fly from one end of the map to the other. You're jumping on rails, you're doing your double jump boost stuff. Like you're getting to what you want to get really fast, and it encourages that type of play where you're like, just, you know what, actually I do want to get this crystal. I'll spend 5 minutes doing that. And then just so many different types of play modes, like the virus little stuff that has its own story with the little robot was really good. And the logic puzzles with Clank. Yeah, right. There's just like a lot of it's one of those hard to put down games because it's trying to constantly keep you satiated. I had a little bit of trouble with the pacing of the story. I thought that I was at the end of the game like 3 times. I couldn't. Yeah,
it definitely is. Yes, it definitely extends itself out. Like, we've got the thing we need to win. Oh, like there's a lot of that.
Here's 2 more planets. You're like, right.
Classic Ratchet,
Yeah.
Classic. No, yeah, I think like that what you're talking about, Danny, like that very satisfying sort of evolution of the game as you play it is so on point. We said this in the video this morning, but like this franchise needed that PS5 so bad. It's so evident. It's so obvious, like how much it is benefiting from it. The results are in very much like right in front of you. And I get lost in the fidelity and the visuals of this game in a way that I don't know. I love looking at this game. It is such an awesome thing to take in. And even no matter how you're playing it with all those fidelity modes and the high frame rate modes, like they've tweaked this game in a way that seems, even between this morning and now, just kind of playing it a little bit and going back and forth. It really is a really like kind of, graphical marvel. It's just like, it's super, super detailed in a way that I am, if you couldn't tell, obsessed with. It's amazing.
And the art direction too, right? Like
yeah,
the actual, worlds
and the sense of scale, like this, they.
Oh my god!
The dimensionality stuff is wild, and I'm sure there's trickery going on in a lot of fun ways, but it works. We talked a little bit this morning about maybe there is a bit of a lack of agency where you're sort of deciding which dimensions you kind of go into. You're sort of on rails for that kind of stuff. But the in Rift dimensional stuff where you can sort of just teleport into the screen, like that doesn't get old. It's
a neat effect.
Especially if you combo that mid sort of melee, it is such a satisfying, choreographed thing of chaos that you're able to pull off. I love that shit.
There were parts of that game where, like, there are parts that are quite like roller coaster esque, but like they're good roller coasters. Like there's that one fight with quite a large beast that you're on rails on, and at one stage I realized I like had held my breath because I was just like, what the fuck is going? Like it was just so cool, and like they nailed those big set pieces. So the parts that are on rails don't feel boring in that way, and it's not very hard. Like it's a game. It wants you to keep winning and keep playing it. I was pleasantly surprised by we always hear these like it's like playing a Pixar movie thing whenever these games come out, like every single time. I was actually surprised by how good the story was and how good the characterization was. There's like some really interesting like plots and subplots that sort of are about like mental health and like internalizing things in a way that I was really surprised by. It was like smart. It wasn't heavy-handed either. It didn't like overdo it. It's
mature, but not in like a super violent way or anything like that. But it has a
preachy or anything.
Exactly. Like it feels like a game that has something to say a little bit about that stuff. And it's neat the way they handle a lot of that. That story stuff has never felt more important, right? Like I think I've glossed over a lot of the story in this franchise. There are moments, especially when the characters kind of like realize their sort of dimensionality of their existence, and there are a couple of moments where you are sort of like, oh that's great, what a great thing they just did there. Like to me, kind of surprised me. So I'm digging that this game has that to offer as well.
I think it was Jennifer. Is it Jennifer Hale who did Rivet? I think.
I believe so.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, it's really good work.
Really good. Yeah, voice acting. And some of the other B characters, like the pirate guy, and like there's like one planet where everyone talks like they're from Fargo or something.
The Morts.
The Morts. I quite like those guys. It's just a fun world to be in. Like and each planet had something new going on, had a new like movement thing or a riff. Some were big, some were small, some had one of the. I would do was like a spoiler cast or something, but there are so many things in here that I either have noticed in Half-Life or Titanfall, like levels or ideas that I'm like, I played this in Half-Life 2, I played this in Titanfall, but they're really good. So it's good inspiration, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. People should check it out if they can get a PlayStation 5. Right?
Yeah, this is like the game that has finally forced me to turn like stock notifications on and get the bots going because I need me some.
This
Ratchet.
one stings. Like I am sympathetic in as much as I can be. Like to me, this was the one that would sting. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to say this with a PS5 behind me and sort of like dangle it. Jan,
Sure.
like I will look for you too, my man. Like
I'll just come over. It's a short drive.
it's nothing. It's like 4,000 miles. It's nothing.
You get a good lightning storm when you get there. Hopefully, it'll be something nice.
Yeah.
You'll have no problem landing.
Backlash PS5 is going to get fried now in a second.
I know. I actually hope it's
Don't.
connected to a surge protector.
Yeah. So yeah, that Rift Apart is awesome. It's it's maybe, well, yeah, I feel like I fell off the Ratchet series, after the first few, and it started to feel a little samey. I mean, they've always been beautiful games, and there's some stuff that I think is stuck throughout, where like there's that moment when you hop out of the ship and the camera will kind of just have a little set shot. You're off to the side, just kind of like, here's the big set piece in the distance, the giant building, the giant castle, prison, whatever it is over the course of the games. Like that, it still works.
Nice.
They've leaned on the stuff that has always made that game great, and also I think made a lot of really solid upgrades across the board that aren't just necessarily due to the console, though. The DualSense, like the controller stuff, is super fun. There's a lot of like half pull, full pull stuff, depending on like each weapon will kind of have some different things in there, depending on how you want to fire it, or hey, I need to charge up the shot, or you want to get the barrels spinning on a chain gun. You pull it halfway and then pull it into fire, like that sort of stuff. They do well by that stuff, but there's a lot of different mechanics with those weapons, but not so much that you're ever like confused, like, how do I shoot gun? Like you shoot the gun. It's fine.
There's like no alt fire, I don't think, really, except for like zooming or something. It's always like based on the primary fire, a different version of it or whatever.
Right. Like for even that base weapon, there's kind of an alt fire because you're kind of pulling halfway for one shot and then pull all the way for a spread shot. And so they kind of do it that way. But yeah, it's awesome. It's a hell of a game.
It's really awesome. I also the controller stuff made me kind of re-examine the worry I had at the beginning, especially with like the Astrobot pack-in game, where I was just like, was anyone going to do as good of a job with this as this game did? And the answer is yes, they will. Like which feels good to know. I guess a part of me was just like, oh, this will be the great demo of this, and then we will wave goodbye to it. But no, it's definitely still here. So that's super comforting. And, you talk about like this being, in my opinion, the first absolute no-brainer for a PS5 owner. I feel like, for me personally, my friends who have gotten a PS5 and who are only playing PS4 games on it, I am just like very excited to be like, please go play this. You will love it. You'll have a great time.
Yeah, it's cool.
Exciting.
I think the other game here we've got this week, Guilty Gear Strive. Yeah.
Oh yes, you said Ratchet was a hell of a game. How about the smell of the game?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good song. It's such a good.
It's a song. It's a song in the game. It's a song. It is a hell of a game, actually. This is actually the most excited I've been about a fighting game in quite some time, since like Street Fighter 5 or something like that. It's visually stunning. It's still using the Exert engine, so you're getting the the 3D models that look like 2D hand-drawn animation, but then you're still getting the dynamic like rotation at the end of the round, and they've upped the visual style as well. To when you get like a counter or something, it like fills the entire screen with the word counter, and they're really blasting you like in the face with the visuals, and it's extremely pleasant. Gameplay wise, like it's still pretty similar to the last game, if not a little bit simplified. I think they're trying to work their way into the hearts and minds of some more casual players. Not to say that this is a casual game by any means, because believe me, the intricacies and difficulty of this game is still very prevalent. As I'm
still got a dust
out.
button. It's still all bursts and cancels.
Dust.
Yeah, one of the buttons is just it's D.
Like throw dust?
Yeah.
Like pick up some sand and throw them in the face?
Blood sport stuff?
No,
and it has multiple functions as well. You hold the direction, it's a throw.
Yeah.
You use it for overheads, you use it for a launcher. It's multifunctional. It's complicated, but luckily there's a pretty good tutorial system in there.
Cool.
Yeah, they rev you up, before you even, get into any modes. They walk you through a tutorial. But then there's also 4 or 5 different levels of additional mission modes that will, give you some insight as to how to zone or how to react to, fireballs or, which moves go through different things, invincibility and such like that. So some higher level fighting game concepts. So they don't leave anyone in the dust or anything like that. But dust. I'm really enjoying the hell out of this game. Even though I'm getting my ass kicked online, I played for quite a while last night. Maybe only pulled home a couple matches, but I had a great time the entire time.
Nice. It looks gorgeous.
I've been playing a little bit of it. But when they first sent it out, none of the online stuff was in yet, and so I kind of fiddled with the mission mode and did some of that stuff. Played some arcade mode, but didn't really get too back into it too much. And God, yeah, it's just gorgeous. They've been doing this style for a little bit now, and it's still crazy impressive, how they pull this stuff off. Right. And I think, you were talking about how just when you get a counter,
dynamic
it's just
lighting and everything.
Screen. Yeah. But the art style of that stuff too. And then I don't even know what I did, but at one point I did something and then over in the corner behind my life bar it just said positive. And I'm like, okay. Is that
you were walking forward. That's all that you had to do to get the game hype, that you were just walking forward.
That's right. And so, it's just the style and just if you like the dumb text that is on the front of every Guilty Gear fight, this has some great stuff there too. And every menu is full of just the beautiful, beautiful nonsense. But also, it seems like a really fun game underneath it. I really liked the first Guilty Gear. When that game first came out, we imported a copy of it, and we're just so blown away at the idea of a fighting game that would let you basically do a fatality mid-match was the draw back then. It was oh my God. I just finished this fight in the harshest way possible. And that just was an amazing moment. And it's so cool that this franchise has lasted this long. And for a game that just felt oh, this isn't ever going to come out in the US. This is just another one of those weird import fighting games that I'm going to play. It's Guilty Gear and Critical Blow and all this other stuff. But no, man, Guilty Gear made it, I guess. They made it. And I want to play some more characters. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of characters, it's in this very individualized space, where you've got all these unique characters. They don't fit a typical mold. You'll get someone like Kai or something that, kind of closely resembles a Shoto look or a Ryu character. But then you've got somebody like Faust that does a bunch of random things. You've got this cyber vampire dude. You've got the girl with a big anchor. It's everybody's got their very, very unique silhouette, very unique play style. And they've kept it interesting for this long. It's amazing.
I think I want to try to get into Giovanna.
Giovanna is fun. I played her
a weird
bit on my stream yesterday.
Cat, right?
Yeah, she's got a thunder puppy. It's amazing.
Okay, it's a dog.
Even though it looks like he's sniffing her butt the entire time, because she's sticking her butt out, and it just lines up in a weird way.
Positive.
All right.
Positive.
Okay.
All right.
Butt sniffing.
Definitely.
Positive.
Okay.
Positive.
But I'm not going to say that they fixed the lobby system, but they made some improvements. They've got visuals stations set now, so you can actually walk up to a station. So it's not one big free for all where everybody's in this mosh pit of trying to get a match. All the matches were good that I played, netcode wise. And like I said, I played a bunch. Granted, I was on, the West Coast server or whatever, but even so, it felt very close to being offline. They've got rollback netcode. It's amazing. It's a hell of a package.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm playing the PS5 version. There's
same.
It is one of, it seems increasingly rare. Well, maybe not increasingly rare, but there is a dedicated PS5 version. It's not just PS4 via backwards compatibility. But at the same time, I don't know, the PS4 version seemed like it looked okay as as well when they were running that beta.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it did.
So yeah. So we're kind of at a crossroads here where we've got a bunch of new games coming out here in the pretty near future. Well, new games. That PS5 version of Final Fantasy Remake is out pretty soon here. There's that Ninja Gaiden collection coming pretty quick. And Phantasy Star Online 2, a new Genesis is out tomorrow.
Oh boy.
What are we
New
doing?
Genesis.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? We're going to play Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. That's what we're doing. I am really looking forward to seeing what that full game looks like. That beta was interesting, and I think I really liked it, but also it's kind of weird. You know, the parts of it seem like a pretty big departure. Oh, right. Yes. Seb Mall in the chat. He's a big Mr. Do fan, says Game Builder Garage is out on Friday as well. The Nintendo game making thing.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
Yep. Is coming out. So I want to check that out for sure. That seems like it could be rad.
Mario Golf, June 25th too.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that's not too far off. Yeah, so it's nice to we'll have a handful of games. But in the meantime, we've got a handful of games. So, you know, I'm still playing some Virtua Fighter on the PS4 here and there and having a pretty good time with that, but I've mostly been playing through Ratchet and 50 Cent Blood on the Sand for the PlayStation 3. And also I've been not to just delve right back into weird computer talk, but I think the current NVIDIA drivers might be bad. I don't know.
No.
Or there's something deeper wrong with this computer. Because it would crash. I installed the latest drivers. New drivers came out the day I got that computer up and running. And so I installed the new drivers, and then launching either Call of Duty Black Ops or Call of Duty Modern Warfare, just boom, done. Hard reboot, back to BIOS screen.
Oh,
cool.
Upon double clicking the icon and letting it sit for a little bit, I rolled back drivers, and now the game's run. But I did have one crash even after that. I am just putting this out there because I want to see what chat has to say. And yes, okay, the first two responses are people saying that they have issues with the drivers. But thank God it's not just me. Hornet says all NVIDIA drivers are bad. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's always something going on.
That is a shockingly sweeping generalization, yet kind of accurate. Yeah.
So having that all happen in the middle of like, oh God, is this whole computer hosed, was like really fun to be like, oh wait, and it took me a few days where like everything else runs fine but these two games, what the hell is going on? And then I rolled back drivers, they ended up booting up. So okay, good. I'm glad I was able to get that settled. Let's get into some news. How about it?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey now, what's happening in the world of your news?
Hey now,
pre-3, baby.
Your news, or the lack thereof. The new Nintendo Switch Pro has not been announced yet. Want to take some odds on, do you think it shows up at Tuesday at the Direct? Is it just all not real and all these Bloomberg reports and developers that are loosely talking about it in smoky closed back rooms are all lying?
If history is
Jeff
any indicator...
I'll say the opposite.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Oh, nice.
Starfield's coming to Switch.
He says Starfield's coming to Switch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If history is any indicator, those reports tend to be fairly accurate, right? They tend to line up with some semblance of reality. So
yeah,
whether or not we see it next week, I think I don't know. I will say this: every time that they've done a thing where there's hardware, again, we are in an alternate timeline right now, so I feel like maybe that's gonna change, but I feel like we usually there is some other kind of build up towards that. I don't know. I guess historically they have not used those directs for hardware. Maybe I'm not completely right with that, but it feels like that's been the cadence, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Well, they had their own like direct, I guess, just for the hardware, but
like there's always like a separate offshoot.
It's hard to tell with these like generational updates though, because they also do sort of underplay them a little bit, right? They need to be careful not to not to make sure that they're saying that the old stuff is, underpowered or illegitimate for future games or anything like that. So it's always this weird sort of, but they also like are part of E3, and like some other companies aren't. So Nintendo still value E3 in some respect, right? That they have this thing going on there. So yeah, it does seem a bit like, there's no smoke without fire. So we're seeing a lot of smoke. So it just, at this stage, I just want the thing to be announced, because the conjecture train is really starting to irritate me. Just tell us what it is.
Yeah, and I feel like the what it is seems like it is firmed up a little bit. At least like all the rumors seem to point in the same direction these days. But yeah, I just don't know. Nintendo is such its own company when it comes to how they want to handle announcements and all this other stuff. And then they'll be out there manufacturing hardware when some parts are sometimes hard to get. And what does that mean for when you announce it? What do you announce? What do you announce alongside it? And so it's become this like fascinating distraction from everything else that's going on. But surely it has to be announced sometime over the next 7 days, right? I mean, if the time comes,
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Bombcast
and we don't have a no new Nintendo Switch announced, I'm going to say there's no new Switch.
Wow. Okay.
Bold.
That seems kind of fair, though. At the same time,
I mean, if they don't announce it now, like they surely can't announce it during this summer. It'll have to be for like, why would you wait at that stage?
But what's to stop them from doing something at the in the beginning of fall, like a October kind of thing? Have it ready for that's the thing. I think the one thing is like everyone's timeline is so on their own schedule, right? Like
right.
I mean, look at the console launch calendar, lead up to that. I mean, what the hell was that?
I think it behooves like all those companies to say that like they're not reacting to everyone else, but during E3 week, they can't escape the comparisons. Like all that ever happens for that week is people say Microsoft killed it, they're doing this, they're trumping Sony in this way, Nintendo we're doing this, and it kind of suits them all to pretend like they all have their own space and they can all be winners. But I think there is still that power of E3 to like create the comparison, because they have to say something. So if they say something during that one direct where they really have to say something because everyone else is saying something, and then it's kind of lukewarm, they will get those comparisons, So I still feel like E3 has to play some part in it, even though they are very autonomous when it comes to how they like to announce stuff.
I think the other thing to consider, and this, who knows how well Nintendo has not always been put this in first and foremost, but like third parties are going to want to talk about what they're doing for a new platform. So assuming there's a new platform, you'll have developers that have signed on to make games for it, and you'll have them wanting to start pre-order campaigns and marketing and all this other stuff, especially if we're talking about like a fall release. And so I assume it would be frustrating for a third party to be in this position of like, hey, we were getting ready to put out a press release and now we have to change it because you haven't announced your stuff, and we thought you were going to announce your stuff, and what's going on? And I think that gets a little complicated, but I think Nintendo has also shown that they are willing to say like, oh, we don't really care that much about third parties when it comes to this sort of stuff. We're going to do what we're going to do, and you guys can either make stuff for it or not. It's they can be weird that way, I guess. So yeah, it's a fascinating time right now when it comes to that, and I don't know what to really make of it anymore. Because on one hand, it would seem ridiculous if they got an event on the books for Tuesday already, it would be ridiculous to announce it earlier than that. You've already got an event, just roll it all out there and be done with it. You don't need to hold something earlier. But then you started having a lot of leaker type folks talk about like it's coming tomorrow. I meant the day after that. Plans change, pal. Like like very much treating it like a wrestling storyline. But yeah, it's very interesting. I don't want to waste too much more time talking about something where there's not much to talk about it. But it's just it's a weird one. I would have thought we would have been maybe past this by now. let's see what else here. Herman Holst, head of PlayStation Studios, made an appearance on the official PlayStation podcast, and they posted some highlights of that over on the PlayStation blog. And the bullet points there really are, let's see, God of War, the new God of War has been delayed to 2022. Of course.
I did not even think that was coming out. That was not on the cards in my head.
I want to talk to the person who thought it was coming out this year. That's what I want to hear from.
We're worried about Horizon, which still looks like
so yes, that's the rest of this here. This new God of War, as well as Gran Turismo 7, have been announced as or will come to the PlayStation 4. Which, if you believe in generations the same way Sony does, you recognize those are generations, 2 generations of consoles. Good on them.
Is Ratchet on PS4?
No, it is not.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Horizon date is not locked yet. They are still aiming for this year. I've got a couple of quotes here. So this Horizon quote this is a quote from Pulse saying, so we have currently 2 very big, very narrative-driven games in development, Horizon Forbidden West and the next God of War, and for both of those, they're frankly affected by access to performance capture and talent. For Horizon, we think we are on track to release this holiday season, but that isn't quite certain yet, and we're working as hard as we can to confirm that to you as soon as we can. Which, that sounds like Horizon will make it, but, unforeseen circumstances can definitely pop up here and get in the way of that. And then
if it doesn't, what are they left with?
Is Gran Turismo out this year?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know that
I don't believe a Gran Turismo is out until I see it in front of me. Those things,
exactly.
The Liphany just takes as long as it wants, and then it turns off.
That looks like it is not currently billed for this year. So
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest problem they have right now is just getting PlayStation 5s in people's hands. There's if you get a PS5 for the first time in the next couple of months, there's a pretty decent amount of games on it, actually. Like, I don't think they need to pump the catalog, except for people who are, there's a bunch of really good stuff on that thing,
Yeah, so, it's a weird... Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I definitely think that Plus collection thing, especially if you did not own a PS4, if you own a PS4, you might have a lot of overlap there. But I think, someone who has, maybe this is their first entry into this platform, I mean, you are well served with the collection of games in that Plus collection.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. I think outside of that, if you're looking for like the exclusive kind of stuff, you're probably just looking at PS4 stuff, right? I mean,
man, it depends. If you're into Demon Souls, that's a big one.
Yes, if you're into Demon Souls,
but if you're into, it's a big if on that one. And obviously, like Astro, there's a bunch of stuff to like plump it up as well.
Definitely,
PS5 version of Morales. There's
the Miles Morales stuff is cool on PS5 for sure. But you've got Returnal, you've got Ratchet. I mean, it's not like there's nothing. The Returnal for me kind of fell off a cliff. Like as soon as I fell prey to the like, oh, they're still gonna patch this, I should probably wait. And then the catch there is I took a break and then tried to get back into it and was like, oh, all of the skills any of these skills I had picked up along the way are now gone, and I would basically be restarting from scratch trying to get good at this again. Not that I was ever great at it to begin with, and it was a feeling of just like, I think I'm just gonna move on from this from now, and we'll see if I get back into it. And Sony is not a part of the E3 happenings from the looks of things. They had their state of play stuff for Horizon relatively recently, and it seems like they're just kind of gonna follow their own schedule and do that sort of stuff. I wonder how much, when it comes to these games and delays, as well as like, if they're going to go out and invest in third party or some of the other stuff, like or even some of the things they're doing that happened around Japan Studio. I wonder if any of that ends up being informed by like, hey, it's going to be a long time before people can get PlayStation 5s. So Take your time. It's fine. Like, we don't have like the mass, even if it is selling a little bit better than PS4 was when you line up the release dates and stuff, or at least that's what they say. They haven't really hit some critical mass with the install base yet. So in some ways, in these early days, that thing sells itself just by virtue of it's rare. So people are going to want it. So it's going to keep selling out because it's rare. So people are going to want it. So it keeps selling out. And as long as they're able to ride that train, doesn't matter what games they have. They have enough games right now to get people to want one. And so if this stuff isn't ready until next year, that'll be frustrating for people that already bought a PS5. But in their grand overall plan to keep growing the install base, like they don't need them yet. So
yeah,
I wonder.
You're totally right. I mean, that's the whole thing that I feel like maybe, we don't always bring up, but it's the fact that like you literally cannot still get one. And we are this far removed from the launch, and they have no issue in selling out any inventory drop that happens. So like, at the end of the day, like that is the reality of it.
And if I was just casting my mind back to like what the PS4 launch looked like and what the second wave of games after that really meant. And if you remember the games that came out for the PS4, you're talking Knack, Killzone Shadowfall, which was...
Oh, I'm talking Knack, baby.
Right? Like,
oh boy.
How often are we talking about Knack? The Assassin's Creed Black Flag version that came out, Call of Duty Ghosts had a version, and Resogun, I guess, but it was slim pickings, right? And the games that came out were, Knack is Knack, right? And Killzone Shadowfall was a competent first-person shooter, but it wasn't something to write home about. Whereas if you look at what they've put out on PS5 since, even if the game isn't for you, the quality has been there. So they don't need to rush out a second wave of like quality games, which so often happens with the launch of a new console when the first run is maybe a little bit hit or miss. So yeah, I think it behooves them to sort of keep this momentum of, no matter what, the games will be good. We won't stumble on any of these, especially when they don't need to. They don't need software to justify hardware sales right now. That'll happen.
Yeah,
12 months from now.
Whatever,
24.
Definitely will happen. And I think Xbox is in a similar boat. It's like they obviously delayed Halo and kind of just haven't had much since. So it's which is like a fascinating. This whole generation is so fucking weird. So weird. Okay, we're getting pretty close to what we're going to refer to as E3 2021. I mean, I don't think anyone has come up with a better name than the Summer Game Mess, to be honest. Because this one, this seems messier than last year's mess, in a number of ways. But we're entering leak season. Mess. Yes, exactly. We've packed the mess into a 2-week period. Ubisoft is getting ready to have their event later on this week, and a handful of things have leaked out. Some of which might not even show up at this thing from the looks of things. And some of it's been announced. So let's see. I've got a Ubisoft chunk here for you. So get ready for this big French chunk.
Blow some chunks.
That's right. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine has been renamed to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. Quarantine and Extraction have the same number of letters. Think about it.
Boy.
You think that's made it easier for them to like? Well, we need a 10-letter word. How many? We need
the spacing. No? No more spacing issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just we can just fix this logo immediately. It'll be fine. That's their tactical co-op shooter with some kind of zombie lab experiment gone wrong type thing. That when they announced it as Quarantine, that was fine, and then we went into an actual quarantine, and maybe that's not the best thing to name a game right now. So,
word ruined
for them. Yes, word ruined for a little while. Now quarantine can only mean two things: one, the actual quarantine, and two, that taxi game that came out on 3DO and PC where you drive around.
Ooh,
quarantine.
No,
oh, damn it! All right,
stop trying to make quarantine a thing.
Quarantine? No, it's Chemo City. You drive around Chemo City. You have guns on your taxi.
Chemo City.
Sure.
I think it's Chemo City. KEMO. I think it's Chemo City.
Okay.
Anyway.
Come on.
Yeah. Ubisoft put out an announcement about their upcoming event, which they've decided to call Ubisoft Forward. I don't remember if that's what they've been calling it for a while.
They've always called them those. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very forward.
Very forward. To say that they are going to
they're going to touch on a number of existing games. They have a handful of live service games here. According to Polygon, they have name checked For Honor, Trackmania, and The Crew 2, as well as Watch Dogs Legion, because they have an expansion coming up as well. The Crew 2, that's a game. I got a press release for like a big new Crew 2 expansion like a few weeks ago.
Apparently people are still playing The Crew 2.
There are so few arcade racers that, like, on one level, I guess I'm not too surprised. My problem is that I just don't think The Crew 2 was very good.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
like
better.
I get being starved for like any racers that kind of fall into that category, and they've been supporting the hell out of it. Like, to their credit, like I don't.
That's kind of been their MO for a while. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They've definitely been on that train of just like Breakpoint just kept getting updates and updates and updates. And like, I don't remember what Breakpoint is even about. It's like the fake Facebook on an island, right? I forget.
Siege was an incredible turnaround. That game was
was
not very popular when it first came out, and it's like it's the hotness now, and has been for years at this stage. So yeah, even games like For Honor, they keep bringing stuff out, for it. They've been dutiful in that respect.
Yeah, I if they're mentioning Trackmania, like I want to see what they've been. They promised quarterly updates for Trackmania when they announced it, and they've been sticking to that. But the updates haven't really been. It's like, here's some new tracks that we made, but the whole basis of Trackmania is you're playing a zillion weird user-made tracks, and so them rolling out a new campaign of maps that they made, tracks that they made, is not super interesting as it turns out. So, but there's a lot of stuff around the edges of Trackmania that I wish that they would smooth out. It'd be nice if they took more of a crack at some of that stuff, but we'll see. Let's see here, and this is a bit that we may not be hearing about. Video Games Chronicle took a look at some leaked images for some marketing docs for what seems to be a Tom Clancy themed competitive first-person shooter known as codename Battlecat.
Oh, that's such a good name. That's such a good name.
Dope.
They should use that as the real name. They should just use that as the real name. But that is, I assume, the internal name for it. Video Games Chronicle has looked at the leaked images and is backing it up and saying that it is real, and also that it's not going to show up at this Ubisoft event. But the idea here is that we've got a competitive first-person shooter with classes based on different factions of the Tom Clancyverse. Meaning you've got like Echelon, like whether you got the team from Splinter Cell, you've got a Ghost Recon Breakpoint team, you got a Division team, and that each of those classes would have kind of specific abilities.
A Rabid team, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
He-Man and
Rabbids.
Battlecat as an alt.
Yes. Yes.
I wonder if that's what Red Storm were working on, because I don't think they're attached to any of the other. I have a secret. I have that place in my heart for Red Storm Entertainment because they're with the lineage of the Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six games. But I've always wanted, because I think they've got a bigger campus in North Carolina in the past couple of years. So I've been like secretly hoping that they're working on some sort of wonderful return to form, because they've been helping a bunch on all the other games, right, for years.
Yeah,
for Ubisoft.
I mean that is the Ubisoft MO, right? Is like every studio touches everything at some point. And then not mentioned here, but like they also have that free to play Division game Heartland that was talked about a while back. So and there's probably another Just Dance. There's probably another Rabbids or something, right? Like
oh yeah, I'll take that.
Probably.
I just want to dance.
I miss those guys.
Yeah.
You miss those
weirdos.
guys?
Yeah, they're weird. I like them.
Yeah.
Bring them back.
Nutballs, little freaks.
Yeah.
Crazy goons. What a bunch of goofballs. Look at these little knuckleheads.
He looks like Kratos.
Yeah, right. Yes. So we'll see what Ubisoft is up to in a handful of days here. Another person we don't know quite what's up with is Yuji Naka, but it sounds like he is no longer a part of Square as of a couple of months ago. Polygon went ahead and translated some tweets, and this is what Naka-san posted to Twitter, translated by a machine. I can't talk about the reason now, but I hope I can talk about it when the time comes. And that he also added, "I may retire." But basically, he's he
you deserve it.
Said that he left Square Enix at the end of April. Which I guess I didn't realize that he was an actual part of Square Enix. I thought he was just part of trope or whatever, and that they were developing Balan Wonderworld, but maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention to who was doing what and where. Balan Wonderworld's not a good game, and it doesn't seem that it is caught on with any particular audience. Polygon quoted Eurogamer here to take it a level deeper, which said that Balan Wonderworld sold fewer than 2,100 copies at launch in Japan, and that it didn't make the top 40 in the UK or the top 20 in the US for March or April. So that game kind of came and went. It's not a good game.
Yeah.
So,
Sure ain't. Real shame.
Oh yeah. So Yuji Naka, of course, has had a pretty long and storied career. He's most known as the Sonic the Hedgehog Man. I think is his official title, Sonic the Hedgehog Man.
Sonos cards.
He was the guy. He was the guy looking into the mirror with the Totinos. I think he was in the suit for that. No, so he's just obviously had a good run, but now he is apparently thinking about hanging it up.
Balan killed him, man.
Go out on top.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a good
boy. The E3 site launched and it's a mess. I don't know if any of you have taken a look.
Hell's Breeze. Is this e3expo.com, Jeff? Do they still have that hot URL?
They do, but I think it's e3expo-portal.com.
Wow. Okay.
Is the site we are talking about. They have built a social network for people who are attending E3. They took press signups a while back, and I guess they're now taking fan signups, and then I don't know what a value someone will get if they sign up to go to E3, but it's you get access to this website that has it has message boards and like the ability to friend other E3 attendees, and you can drop virtual business cards at virtual booths, which is just insanity. It's a bunch of stuff that like I don't understand who that's for.
Can I put in my hobbies and like sexual preferences and stuff? Can I who do I want to? Who am I?
Is it like an E3 Tinder? Is it like because sometimes you get these conventions in town, and every PAX we find a Craigslist posting about some kind of like cosplay orgy. So I maybe, but with it being an all digital event this year, I don't think that we'll get quite the.
Oh, they'll still have them.
Okay, so is this like are we having this like
a worldwide experience now?
Yeah,
okay.
More global now.
Are we yiffing in VR chat? What are we doing here? What's going on?
Event.
I think
it's all in Tower Unite.
Second.
There you go. Now I'm signed up. Austin made a couple tweets about the like gamification of what they've done to some of the E3 portal stuff, and there's some choices there.
What can you do? What's the game?
You get like rewards for watching certain things,
videos,
like videos and like media section videos, and it's just.
I mean, this sounds like GameSpot circa 2006.
Yeah, this is our cult. Yes,
give me some emblems.
Is based on that stuff. But yeah, it's weird because it'll pull out a list of like achievements you could achieve by like I watched 5 videos in the media section, but apparently that stuff is all booth specific or company specific in some cases, so it's not clear what you actually need to do to get those points in some cases. It's a really they made some really weird choices, and especially for a show that's probably going to go back to being a physical show next year, knock on wood. Then I don't know who this was built for and all this other stuff. I assume they intend to use it for fans going forward as a way for them to have a more direct customer relationship with fans instead of like go to Twitch and watch the show, which is what I think everyone will do when it comes to watching these events. It's not like you need to sign up to E3 to watch streams on the internet, but it's strange. There's some weird privacy things. There's some people filled in details about how to reach them into some very publicly accessible forms and all this other stuff as well. And it's just a very awkward. It's a very awkward rollout of a site that like I just look at and go like, I'm not sure this needed to exist. And I wonder what the pitch was for this website and who built it and why. And there's just a lot of stuff there where you're just like, I feel like this could have all been done better.
Yeah. I wonder if the SA had to, like, they needed to do something to be relevant, right? Because what the hell is E3, especially as E3 is also all of these other events that are happening that aren't technically part of E3. So we got to make something to be the baseball field for all of the video game ghosts. It's a messy metaphor to come and hang out on.
That sounds right.
So it's I guess they have to try something.
People make avatars. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have avatars. How do they work? Are they cool?
They do.
It's like you can
face
kind of
tattoos.
just customize no face tattoos. You can choose like eye color and some facial hair stuff and all sorts of stuff like that. But it's not. I don't know. It is like a me on the Wii in some ways because you can like apply the facial hair and then just move it up. But it doesn't let you move it up like all the way or anything dumb like that. Like the limits are too limiting, and none of them look good.
No mustache as a unibrow or anything like that. Can I at least watch my avatar like wait in line for 4 hours or no?
I don't think so. Maybe that's something. Maybe there'll be a deeper experience once the show starts or something. But it just looked like a bunch of web pages. You could go follow a Namco page on the E3 site, and I guess maybe you would get an update when Namco posted something there. But again, it's just one of those things I look at and go like, there are 20 different places to go for whatever information a Namco or a Capcom is going to release at the show, and
digital swag, like a poster or like.
I assume but then there's also a message board, and it was like people going like, predictably, it was people like, you think that Elden Ring's going to be here?
Was that just Tam?
Like, stop! Yes, it was Tam. It was definitely Tam. It just like, who is going to this and clicking on this? Like, I don't want to talk shit. I'm sure someone worked very hard on it, but like, what the fucking fuck? Why? It's just bizarre.
You've sold me. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. So for E3, we're gonna be talking over the major events of the show and beyond the kickoff of the Summer Game Fest. Where we will enter the Jeff Keighley zone and layer ourselves talking over the top of it on Thursday morning. That'll be the first thing, and then from there, it's the kind of major events seem like it's Microsoft, it's Nintendo, it's Square, and it's Ubisoft. Did I miss any there?
I think
Bethesda, Microsoft. You said.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Microsoft, which includes the Bethesda stuff.
And,
Yes,
I think you got everything. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's everything. That's the stuff that we'll be talking over. There are some other events in there, but like some of the stuff seems like it might even just be cases of like, hey, here are games that are already out, and Warner's not bringing a full lineup. They're just talking about Back 4 Blood, which, considering what they're going through, is shifting some of these studios to Discovery and then looking for people to buy other ones and that sort of stuff like that. That's they're in probably a weird spot, so it probably makes sense why they wouldn't necessarily go all out and announce more stuff. I feel like there's probably a fighting game in the works somewhere over there, but I don't know what the hell's going on. And then the nights 2 and 4, which is Sunday and Tuesday. You can join us at 7 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be doing a wrap-up show, kind of just going over the highlights and looking at some of the, if there's some stuff we missed outside of those shows, we can kind of look at some of that stuff there. And yes, and as Bogart in the chat points out, Battlefield's getting announced tomorrow. They've been running a viral campaign as the lead up to that announcement. That sounds kind of exciting. Like, the 2042 was apparently the rumored title for that game. And
the one no one played, baby. It's so we'll see. There's a hardcore fan group for that. We'll see.
This doesn't seem like, so this isn't 2142. This is 100 years before that. So not quite as crazy technology wise. You probably won't have mechs or whatever, but the but you will have more destruction and supposedly larger player counts and stuff. That's some of the stuff that they're touting. And yeah, so yeah, there's a new Battlefield coming, and that's. I'm interested to see what that looks like when they show it off tomorrow. Yeah,
you know,
like
E3 has never been so far away and yet so spread out.
I have no idea what's going on next week. You've said all those words, and I still don't know what E3 is next week. Like
it's trying its damnedest to be a full week, and it then lasted the summer. It is the Hanukkah of E3. It is just like, I don't know what happened, but it grew.
Trailers.
It grew into this thing, and now we've replaced the season of summer just with E3. That's
like
what it is.
Mercury is in retrograde. It's happening all the time. E3 is happening all the time.
I got an infographic that kind of lists what the official E3 broadcast schedule is. If you want to hear the whole thing, it won't take very long.
Sure.
Is this the E3 or is this?
Yes, this is E3. This is not the full mess. This is not the full fest. Even this is just the
ESA sanctioned
the comprehensive E3 2021 broadcast schedule.
Wait,
for
today.
Wait. Yeah,
What?
In addition to what's listed, there will be a wide variety of interviews, panels, and other exciting moments that you won't want to miss. Apparently, they didn't put any of that on here. So I've seen a larger schedule than this that is like a planning document that has a bunch of those panels on it and stuff. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anyway, here is what the ESA has put out as an infographic saying, like, here's the full schedule. But then even on the infographic, they say this is not the full schedule. Saturday, 10 a.m., broadcast pre-show. 11 a.m., Ubisoft Forward pre-show. 12 p.m., and I assume that's like, because like Greg Miller and some other folks are doing like official hosting duties for like E3, so I assume that's where they would show up, is on those type of pre-show things. Noon, Ubisoft Forward. These are all Pacific times, by the way. 2 p.m., Gearbox E3 Showcase. I don't know if they'll talk about, because I think Keighley has if you time the, there's that Tiny Tina game that leaked out.
Right.
Seems like that's going to show up at Keighley's show based on the countdown timer, but maybe they'll talk about that there too. 2:45, a games beat session.
Starring Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb.
Starring Venture Beat's Jeff Grubb, occasional Giant Bomb contributor in the future.
Sorry.
He of the Game Mess, Elden Ring executive producer, Starfield creative director Jeff Grubb. 8:45 a.m. on Sunday, broadcast pre-show. 9:30 a.m. 24 Entertainment's Naraka Blade Point, which is written in all caps, so you know it's serious. 10 a.m. Is the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. 12:15 is Square Enix. 2 p.m. Warner Brothers Games Back 4 Blood. I think it's interesting that they're just like saying like, this is a Back 4 Blood thing. It's not the half-hour thing about Back 4 Blood. It's not going to be a full lineup.
Sid Meier's Back 4 Blood.
Yes. 2:30 p.m. PC Gaming Show. 4 p.m. Future Games Show. I assume that's the PC Gamer event that typically happens every year. And I assume Future Game Show is Future the publisher doing
Future Games?
A similar event back to back, which is a little weird. Monday, 8 a.m. broadcast pre-show. 9 a.m. Verizon.
Awesome.
Says,
can't wait.
What's Verizon doing? I don't know. Verizon.
Injecting 5G into all
They're
of us.
going to 5G your face off.
They're going to
That's
activate
what's
everybody.
going to happen.
9:45 p.m. Intellivision. Paul says. I assume that is Tommy Tallarico coming out and doing a song and dance about the Amico.
Tommy Amico.
So it's a weird start to E3 Monday. Verizon followed by Intellivision.
Right. What are we kicking off day 3 with? Verizon. 10:15 Take-Two Interactive Panel. 11:10 Mythical Games. 12 p.m. Indie Showcase. 12:30 p.m. Freedom Games. 1 p.m. is Ven with 2 N's. That's they're.
Oh, that's like a streaming network.
Network.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
Yes.
They've been around for a bit. I think Sasha Grey does or did a show with them.
What are they over?
That sounds.
She's an actress. I don't know.
Oh, nice, Jason. I got it. Don't worry, bud. I got it.
All right, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
Points for you.
2:30 p.m. Capcom and 3 p.m. Razer. And
Awesome.
Then,
All right.
cool.
All right.
And Tuesday, day 4. It seems like it could have fit into 3 days. 8 a.m. broadcast pre-show. 9 a.m. Nintendo's Nintendo Direct and Nintendo Treehouse Live. So big thing there for Tuesday. 2:25 p.m. Bandai Namco. 3:30 p.m. Eureka Studio. 3:35 p.m. the GameSpot Play for All Showcase.
There we go.
And 4:45 p.m. the official E3 2021 awards show.
Official.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're doing that thing.
Yeah,
Awards. Everyone's getting one. Everyone's getting an award. Remember?
Yep.
Right, like per publisher awards, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Participation trophies. You paid $1 million to be at this non-physical event. Here is an award. It's just like the Webbies. Give us money and we'll give you a statue.
I've got my Webby out in the garage. I'll bring it in.
I think
yeah.
I got one from the office, you know.
Yeah.
Day 48.
It's in a way, it's kind of like the most E3 looking E3 ever, because that's what the experience of walking around the show floor is. It's like Nintendo, and then what are you? What's this booth? What company is this again? And then Razer, and then oh yeah, Take-Two, and it's like this sort of like up and down smorgasbord of different things.
Yeah, and it's like like no PlayStation, no Activision, no Sega.
Yuji Naka left, so. He's square.
Yeah. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just weird. We'll see how it all goes. Like, I'm interested in seeing it and seeing how their website plays into all this stuff and what breaks and what doesn't and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know what to make of any of this. And it's
at the same time, I don't envy anyone attempting to corral all of this into a cohesive thing. I mean, this does seem like this insurmountable task of chaos. So I mean,
totally like yes. I mean, yeah, like trying to navigate what the last year has done to game development and what are we ready to announce now and all this other stuff. Like everything is so weird. Everything is so weird. That yes, I can't. I don't know that there's any fault to be laid at anyone's feet. Or how this stuff has come together. It's just a mess. It's just a damn mess.
That's it.
And
trademark.
Yeah. Speaking of messes, some Cyberpunk stuff leaked out. Now I know what you're saying. The game's already out. Who cares? An interesting variety of things. Video Games Chronicle kind of tabulated some of this stuff. There's some footage from an old pre-alpha build of the game from when it was a third-person game, and it's just shirtless dude walking around an apartment with a naked lady in the shower and some other stuff. I spent some time watching it. Very erotic. And some of the other video content that got out of this. It seems like this is maybe from the big hack they had that maybe some of these files got out alongside that stuff, and that maybe the source code is about to be up for sale to anyone who wants to pony up $10K to get it. I know there was a talk about it being sold earlier to someone who was not going to release it publicly, but maybe that fell through. I don't know what the situation with that weird crime is right now. But these videos got out, and one of them was a big bug montage of here's a bunch of broken stuff from various builds of the games. Kind of largely undated. So we don't know that probably all those bugs came from different builds, but it's a lot of cars freaking out and physics bugs and faces being weird and eyeballs.
Stuff we know and love from Cyberpunk,
from shipping Cyberpunk, it is markedly worse than shipping Cyberpunk was. Even at launch. It is a bunch of, because it's them cherry picking. Like, here's the craziest. I assume here's the craziest shit that QA found and documented.
Yeah, exactly. I suspect this is the same as, because they literally. I remember I hosted a PAX panel for them a couple of years ago, and this video montage of all the weird stuff QA found is the most par for the course thing every studio has and shares around, and is like, look at all this wacky stuff, because games are fucking broken until they come out, or in some cases they come out and they're still broken. But they literally, I remember convincing. There was a little bit of back and forth over whether or not they wanted to show the Witcher 3 one at the panel we had, because even then, this sort of stuff, they worry, right? Because game studios hate for their audiences to think that they cut corners or didn't try or are taking the piss out of the game or that type of thing. But they were up for showing it. So we ended up showing it at this panel. It's all on YouTube now. So I bet this like sucks for them to get out there, because it makes it look like they're, to a certain subset of the audience that doesn't understand how games that goes, it makes it look that they were sort of in on the joke of the game being busted at launch, when really this is like a fairly common, people at their job, even if they're working hard, sometimes like to cut loose and have fun about the thing they're making. So
imagine that.
Yeah. I think where this gets, there's some people that are angry about it, and I think where that is coming from is as part of this Video Games Chronicle article, because when you take that bug montage and go like, well, whatever, it's a bug montage, who cares? But then you take it with this following quote from this article. In a video apology published weeks after Cyberpunk's release, CD Projekt co-founder and joint CEO Marcin
Iwiński,
Marcin Iwiński, okay, claimed that CD Projekt's testing did not show a big part of the issues players experienced at release, and that the company genuinely believed the console version of the title was ready to be released alongside the PC one, which reviewed relatively well. And so it's like, those bugs, we don't know what builds of the game they came from, and a lot of those bugs were things I never saw in my 1.0 release day version of the game, or any of the subsequent patches and stuff like that. So, I don't think it's a big deal, but I see why people might take the quote of him saying like, we didn't see a lot of bugs, and then like, here's a leaked video showing that they saw a lot of bugs at some point in development, because of course they did. I see why some people might get a little riled up about that.
Even without that video, I think that quote doesn't hit the ear right? Because like really, you know what I mean? That would be
best,
a good.
At best, it means you're just being like kind of delinquent in your duties to ship finished products, right? You're just like, we had no idea it was this busted. It's like, well,
that would be the type of thing where like a follow-up question to like, what is he actually trying to say there? Is he trying to just like sweep it under the rug? Is he talking about like a lot of the rendering stuff we didn't see, or a lot of this type of bug or that type of bug? Because surely everything that's shipped in the game they would have been seeing prior, because that's what they do for the last couple of months of development on big games, is that you're basically, especially open world games, so you're basically just like seeing what's busted and patching them, fixing here and fixing there. So
squashing what you can. Yeah, it's interesting that pre-alpha third-person footage was an interesting look at a very different video game. So that's kind of fascinating. But that's hey, a lot of games pre-alpha barely resemble the shipping product. That's not new either. Let's see here, Jan. You sent along this trailer for Pal World.
I did.
This Pokemon game. This Pokemon looking game, I guess, this bootleg ass Pokemon game, but with guns.
This got sent to me a couple times, and like the first couple seconds I was like, oh, Breath of the Wild and Pokemon, cool. That's an idea that people have had. And then playing the trailer, and there's guns involved in it,
kind of out of nowhere, maybe.
Yeah, and there's a lot of weird ethics questions about the world of Pokemon and whether or not you eat them or you just use them for labor. Yeah, right. I mean, here it's like, okay, these electric Pokemon, water Pokemon are helping us farm. You got a sheep one, not actual Pokemon, whatever they're calling them in Pal World. But
they're probably pals, right? They're probably pals.
They're probably pals.
Yeah, and then they're just unloading,
running around killing people.
Yeah. And like you can pet them, and it looks like, oh, you can fuse them, and they can make combinations of Pokemon. But again, they all have guns.
And just very realistic looking, like AR, right? Like it's not even like comic-y.
Here's guns. A lady with a shotgun, and then she picks up a sheep and uses the sheep to block. Uses the sheep to block a bunch of bullets.
Those things are making like M4s. Like what is? This feels like cross-dimensional. I don't understand.
Bowser's in this game.
This is
fishing with a Pikachu.
I don't. that person just killed all those fish, and I just wanted to bring this to the.
What the hell is this?
Power World. I don't know.
Hell World.
Wow. The NTSC World coming. To
North America. Nice. There you go.
Higher frame rate. Very excited about it.
But that's I guess that's now on my radar as the Pokemon and Pokemon adjacent guy on the site.
And last little tidbit of news here: the Playdate. Remember Panic's little handheld thing with the crank on the side?
Yeah,
got the crank.
Yeah, it's a crank.
I gotta say,
get up. Crank.
Guys, the like Muji store, IKEA cuteness itch in me is like really. I'm into this thing. I don't know why. I just want one, and I want to like pet it, and I didn't want to cut you off there. I just wanted to, get that out there right away. There is something that this thing is doing that it did the first time I saw it, which had to be almost 2 years ago, right? Like.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. We were talking about it back when there was a real E3.
Right.
So they put out some details today, some additional details. Pre-orders are going to start in July for $179. They've also doubled. So if you remember, buying the Playdate would get you a season of games with it. And they had originally said, we're going to have 12 games that you'll get one per week for free with your purchase of the Playdate. Obviously it's been a long time since then. I think the thing has been officially delayed at least once. I remember right, they did have a date beforehand. Anyway, they have doubled that number. That you were going to get 2 games a week for 12 weeks. They started talking a little bit more about the games. They put out basically a little video of them kind of talking through some of the stuff that's coming. They showed Keita Takahashi's game for it, as well as Lucas Pope of Return of the Obra Dinn is working on a game called Mars After Midnight that looks kind of neat.
There's a lot of really
open a little
good
door, and
there's a lot of really good names on these games.
Yes.
Sasquatchers. It's pretty good. Executive
golf.
golf.
Corporate golf.
It's doing a thing, right? It's doing a thing, and it seems we have no evidence, but it seems to be nailing the thing it's setting out to do already.
It's the thing. I think someone in chat just said it, but it's the thing of like if someone made a fake video game console to show up in like a cartoon. Like if they had a video game, if they had a fake Game Boy in an episode of Adventure Time, this would be it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It would be.
I think that's BMO.
Honestly, all it's missing is having that crank be able to somehow power this thing as well. Like that is the only thing they are missing on. I mean, and then the video goes on for a little bit, and then they talk about this like this accessory, this stereo dock, which. At first glance, you're just like, what? Why? And then you're like, of course, yes. It holds a pen. It comes with a pen. I don't know.
And it makes it look like a weird old TV, right? You're kind of like locking it to the front of this weird extended thing. Like it's
missing rabbit ears, right?
Like if you saw that in the corner of like a Japanese electronics store, you would immediately buy it. Like it's look at this thing.
I have paid more for worse objects.
Adorable.
Yes, exactly. Sure. The Intellivision.
Yes.
It's got a nice cover accessory, and I'm interested to see what this like reflective screen they talk about a lot is, like how that kind of pays off, because like they're really all about like, yes, this is like a very retro kind of thing, but it has a really high resolution screen for what it is, and a reflective screen, right, which is presumably just skirting around the fact that it doesn't have a backlight.
Right. But it seems like a high quality non-backlit screen, which is that's kind of fun. And they've got a game creation toolkit for it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's all in browser, which I was just like, okay, it's called Pulp. It works in your browser, and I don't
wait, like on a PC.
You just any web browser. Okay. Yeah, that the interface is all web based. So it's tough to not be excited about whatever the hell this winds up being, for sure.
I want to play Demon Quest 85.
Yeah,
that sounds rad.
Yeah, it looks like a neat thing. It seems like it's for a very particular subset of players. This thing is not going to be I think some people are scoffing at it between the price and some of this other stuff. Like, oh god, but like I think it looks super rad. It's this weird boutique kind of crazy thing with a fucking crank on the side, and watching developers make games that work on original Game Boy, basically 2 face buttons and a D-pad, and then also, oh, by the way, a crank. Like, hey, why not? Why not?
You do want to know what that crank feels like, though, right? Like that for me, that's the biggest thing. What is that? What's the feedback?
I believe I have touched the crank. It's been so long since I've cranked it.
Touched that crank?
I touched that crank at E3 or PAX, or it has been around a little bit, but again, man, that's from the before times. I don't remember anything from then. Like, it's...
Think of all the other people that touched that crank before you touched it, Jeff.
Yeah.
I know. You gotta really understand where that crank's been.
Why we've been in the situation we've been in for so long.
Cool thing about Playdate, it is extremely a lot of people's shit. Right? Like it is everyone's shit. Like you feel like it's just going to be a little sliver of people's shit, but no, turns out this little specific, hyper specific, strange little thing is millions of people's shit.
And I think those people, it's like this. Yeah, it's the sort of thing.
22,000 are going to be made, so there's going to be some problems.
No, I didn't. Well, no, the video said that they will make however many they need to make.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, so they're gonna, parts availability withstanding, they intend to make as many as they need to make to satisfy demand. So
does this avoid the chip situation at all?
I mean, the video is funny because they're very much just like, hey, listen, if you order one earlier, you'll get one sooner. We know that, but like, our intent is just keep making them until we satisfy demand. And if that gets weird because of parts and some other stuff, like we'll let you know. You can cancel it anytime. And so, like they're being very open about that aspect of this in a pretty refreshing way. I feel like that's going to be one of the situations where like it's not going to sell. It probably won't sell millions of units, but I feel like a high percentage of people that buy one will be the sort of tinkery people that will go on to make something for it, and hopefully it'll have a fun little development community. There's been fantasy consoles and other stuff like that, like the Pico 8 and some other things along the way over the years that have tried to get and they've had some development, but never enough to really kind of break through and sustain itself. And I wonder if Playdate has a better chance of that with its seemingly relatively easily accessed dev tools and this pulp stuff as well, if that kind of just leads to a little more development for it. But it's it's not designed and meant to be a traditional console launch. Like you're not going to go compare it to like, well, the launch lineup isn't as good as the Game Boy Advance was. It's like it's just kind of not that. But it's going to be interesting to watch that thing come out and develop. I'm very excited to get my hands on one for sure.
I hate that y'all made me want to crank it, but now I definitely do. It
doesn't take much. It doesn't take much, All of a sudden, you got to crank it.
Yeah, you just get that feeling, and you're like, "Do I have $179? Then I can."
You'll be lucky. You know what's going to happen is that they're going to be selling them for like twice as much as that on eBay a couple of weeks after.
Yeah, probably.
It'll be hard to get.
What a disaster!
The same people that make that MIDI controller that I don't
the
need,
OP1.
but want. Yep. They're making the hardware.
The engineering is involved in the hardware end of it, and that thing is a very desirable item. So like I get it, and that makes me feel good about the quality of the crank because I think they've made some pretty decent hardware. That's it for news. Why don't we go ahead and we'll take one more break here. We'll come back and get some emails in here. Stay tuned. Cereal, it's the best. That's it, hands down. End of discussion. Breakfast cereal is the best. But as you grow up, maybe it's full of sugar and a bunch of other stuff that you maybe shouldn't be eating on a regular basis. Perhaps you're out there trying to cut down on carbs and sugar and unhealthy food in general. And then, maybe traditional breakfast cereal doesn't really fit the bill anymore.
Everyone's trying to eat better, right? But hey, healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't need to be a bunch of protein powders and weird stuff like that. You can get your protein the fun way with Magic Spoon, because Magic Spoon has all the amazing flavors you love, but without all that bad stuff. All right, what are we talking about? Let's break it down. Magic Spoon. It's got 0 grams of sugar, 13 or 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. Comes in a variety pack. You can get this variety pack. It's got varieties of flavors. It's not just like, hey, here's the same cereal every morning. You get to choose. The 4 flavors in the variety pack are cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. Comes in cereal boxes. You can take those cereal boxes. You can put them on top of your fridge where cereal boxes belong. Grab it down. Say, like, today's a peanut butter day. Peanut butter, that's a good one. Hey, maybe today's a frosted kind of day. Maybe you mix them together. Look, whatever you do, the variety pack is there for you. And now it is time for you to get your own. You can go to magicspoon.com/bomb to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code BOMB at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/bomb and use the code BOMB to save $5 off. And thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring the podcast. This episode of the Giant Bombcast is brought to you in part by NordVPN. Hey, are you on the internet? Let's just assume for the moment you are. What are you doing on the internet? What's that? You aren't going to tell me? You're saying it's none of my business what you're up to online? You're saying privacy matters to you? Okay, fine, I get it. You want to stay secure. You want to maintain some privacy, and you want to feel just a little bit more anonymous. These are all great reasons to check out NordVPN. NordVPN's client installs on your PC, Mac, your phone. Heck, you can even integrate it at the router level and put your entire home behind a nice secure wall. The VPN, your traffic bounces through a relay and comes out the other end, making you appear like you're online from a different part of the world. Aside from being kind of awesome if you think about it, this can be useful for getting around those annoying geographic locks that prevent you from accessing the cool stuff you want to access. Shield yourself and your home IP without sacrificing speed via NordLinks, NordVPN's technology built around the extremely cool WireGuard protocol. Encrypting your traffic with NordVPN can also help keep you secure when connecting to random, nasty public Wi-Fi networks. The possibilities are endless, and it's all made easy with NordVPN. If you're ready to start locking down your online footprint and live in the shadows, then you're in luck. NordVPN has a deal for you, and here it is. Go to nordvpn.com/bombcast. That's nordvpn.com/bombcast, or use the code bombcast to get a 2-year plan plus a bonus gift with a huge discount. And hello, we're back, and it's time for emails. My morning deep voice is gone.
What was that? I was listening to the VOD after the fact, and I was like, Jeff, what's going on?
I had just crawled out of bed like 10 minutes before. It was just like, get out of bed, run a brush through my hair, sit down, hope for the best. And so the first words I spoke of the day were for the mic check, and and it was all downhill from there. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address to use to send your emails to, much like these folks have. As I said earlier, I don't know if I said that earlier on the show or not. We have people have Ireland related questions this week. We've got a few here. Kick it off here.
Only we had somebody who could answer those questions.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Jamar from Dallas, Texas is here, and he says, my wife is a very proud Irish woman. She loves being Irish more than anything in the world. Being English, we would get into it about English and Irish politics. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, her family did one of those 21andMe, 23andMe, I think is what he means here. Did one of those DNA tests and found out She's 80% Welsh and French.
Oh,
Wow.
It's good stuff.
Being
Quality
devastated
email.
from the news, I laughed at her and began singing God Save the Queen. 2 questions for you guys. Danny, have you ever been to Wales? And is there anything
Dude,
worthwhile
can I
going
move
to
in
see?
with you guys? Because I just got kicked out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. Question number 1: Wales. What do you know about Wales? I'll tell you everything I know about Wales.
Oh, I know what you're going to
goalie-looking
say.
chain.
Yeah,
The goalie-looking
yeah,
chain. That's it. They're from straight out of Newport.
That GLC.
GLC. Yeah.
Well, that's
who
cool.
knows it? Clark. Yes. Have you ever been to Wales? And there's anything worthwhile to see, according to Danny O'Dwyer?
Yeah, I went. For my shame, when I lived in London for 5 years, I'd never been to Scotland or Wales. I've still never been to Scotland. Never been to Northern Ireland. So I really haven't done much of the UK. But I did go to Wales to visit my good friend Mark Craven. We went to he's an old friend I met on GameSpot years ago. He worked on Citizen Game with me. Good friend of me and Timur's actually. So a week before I left, I took the train to Swansea. We went to a Swans game. I hung out with his parents. It was the most Irish place I've ever been to that wasn't Ireland. It was like very similar. People are chill, lots of rolling green hills. So at least your wife she may not be Irish. At least she's not English. She's a bit Welsh. That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
I love my English friends. They're all good people.
Yeah. Second question. What was something you believed for years before you found out it was a lie?
Jesus Christ.
Doesn't get. I mean, then you can end that segment right there.
Dang.
I'm not gonna get any better than that.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no offense to anyone who believes but that for me, that was the fucking when I had my not come to Jesus moment, but my rather traumatic divorce from Catholicism, because I was a very, very devout Catholic until I was about 16 or 17. That was.
I was going to ask what
age
age.
For sure. Yeah.
And then you started taking the bus to go buy hoodies, and then suddenly everything was just downhill from there. You goddamn heathen.
That's it. He peeked behind the curtain and saw the sausage getting made and knew this could not be the word of God.
Yeah. Yeah. No. For me, it was more like I got dragged to Sunday school. It was just like, this sucks. And then finally got to stop going, and that was that. Let's see here. Something you believed for years before you found out. I don't know when I realized as a child, so maybe this doesn't count because it was as a child, but I don't know when I was hip to the fact that wrestling was not legit.
Oh no.
That's a shame.
You know, when I was like 7 or something, you know, like I don't know where that happened, or like I don't think it was like a revelatory moment. It was more just like okay, like it's just this understood thing that didn't hit me like a ton of bricks. But I wish I knew what moment it was that pinpointed the like, oh, I'm an idiot kid. These fights aren't real at all.
Right. Huh.
Was there something really did Taker die at one stage? Was there something that happened that was just so unbelievable that you were like, oh, that, you know, like,
I think
didn't they bury Hulk Hogan once or something?
Yeah, probably. I think Undertaker ascended once and died and went to heaven. There's all sorts of stuff. Right. Yes. Yeah. Which is the most unbelievable part of it all. I think what happened is I was into wrestling as a kid when Hulk Hogan was big, and then stopped watching for a very long time, and then got back into it when I was in high school, and then fell out of it again and got back into it in my 20s, and when the NWO stuff was happening. And yeah, so I think by the time I was in high school and getting back into it, like when I got back into it, I think at some point when I was just not caring at all about wrestling, I think I realized or was made aware of the part where it was just not real, or not a contest. I mean, obviously, there's athleticism and all this other stuff. I don't mean to demean.
I don't remember when it happened to me, because I remember times like watching on weekends and like rooting for somebody who's clearly not, it's just a jobber, like a Barry Horowitz, thinking that today is going to be the day that Barry's going to pull it out, and like firmly believing that. But at some point, that vanished from me. That childlike trust.
Yeah.
Man.
Was there ever like a jobber who like they weren't trying to put over, like one that who like really out of nowhere actually
James
beat,
Ellsworth?
Yeah. I think they let
Barry
Horowitz win a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did
Pat himself on the back. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I was really disappointed and really upset to find out that the kids on Nick Arcade were not actually playing a real game that they were transported into.
Damn.
It was all just like green screen mattress stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was further upset that the kids that got taken by the temple guards in Legends of the Hidden Temple weren't actually gone forever. They were just fine.
Oh, you were disappointed that they weren't murdered on the spot.
Because then I thought there was like, oh, there's real stakes, we really got to put this silver monkey together, got to be faster on this.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I get that. Early in my life, I guess it wasn't a specific thing. It was more just like general authority figures are like not perfect and completely full of shit sometimes. And I think coming to terms with that at a youngish kind of age, really.
Who was it? A teacher, a weird uncle,
a priest.
A priest.
Teacher. Definitely a teacher. Seeing people and realizing they are having the confidence and the ability to like openly say like, you are a flawed, awful person, and you are not me saying this to the teacher, but just like being able to realize like you're right, and I think having like a parent be able to tell me like, yes, this person is a shithead, like I think goes a long way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One more. The Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella that came out in the 90s with Brandy as Cinderella. That was my first introduction to Cinderella. For this whole time, I thought Cinderella was black and that the prince was Filipino. And I was like, I grew up thinking this, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then only to find out there's an older cartoon, and I was like, Whitney Houston isn't the fairy godmother? No? Oh, damn. Damn.
Whitney Houston is definitely the
better.
She is, yeah.
I could have been a prince, guys.
I know. A couple more Ireland-focused emails here. David writes in, says, I'm from Dublin and was a teenager in the early 2000s and can confirm Danny's story that Asha in Stevens Green Shopping Center was the only place to buy hoodies at that time.
Oh, wow.
I recall them being so expensive that I would have to save my allowance for several months to buy one. They were mainly band hoodies. I had a Metallica one that was at least 2 sizes too large, and I thought I was hot shit wearing that thing. This is also where all of our goth girlfriends bought their corsets and fishnet stockings at the time.
100%. Yeah.
This just sounds like a hot topic.
That's what it is.
Yeah. They also sold a variety of weed paraphernalia that I was too afraid to buy or even look at for too long, but definitely added to the mystique of the shop.
It was also like...
Asha actually still exists, but I think it has leaned harder into the drug and festival vibe over the years and isn't so much a haven for goths and rockers anymore.
Yeah, I guess there's no goths and rockers. Well, not of that particular ilk. But yeah, it was also the cool thing about Asha was Stevens Green Shopping Centre. There aren't that many, or certainly back then there was no like big malls in Ireland. Like now that Dublin has a couple of them around, but it's kind of like it's open in the middle and all the shops are around the edge. And Asha was on the top floor, stuck in the corner. So like the only people that were going to this part of this mall up in the top were going to this shop. So it became like a haven, right? It was like your town's local skate spot, right? Like everyone goes there. If you want to meet people who, are into the stuff you're into, go down there. So it became like one of those, it was like a weird sort of mecca for the, disjointed folks from certainly my town. And a lot of these, because if you felt like you were a bit different in Dublin, and imagine what you felt like if you're in like a small town in the west of the country with like 40 other people, so it became like this kind of weird cool spot, but it was also like the least cool place in the world because you just spent €60 on a corn hoodie, which was like printed up probably in the back.
Right. Yeah. And last one of this trilogy here. Michael from Wexford says, it's a very strange experience hearing my small Irish hometown mentioned on the podcast last week. I have one thing to say, and I'm sorry to bring beef onto the podcast like this. Up Wexford, down with the Dels. This has a bunch of accents on it, so I don't know how to pronounce it.
Dacia. Up the Dacia.
Dacia, D-I-S-E.
Yeah.
Okay, down with the Dacia.
That's fine. Used to hearing it. Wexford people are all a bunch of fucking strawberries anyway, so it doesn't matter.
What the hell does that mean when you call someone a strawberry? What is that?
That's the go-to insult for people from Wexford. There's 32 counties in Ireland. We all have our thing where we shout that we're happy with, and then we all have our
nicknames.
We call people from the other. Well, Kilkenny, we call them cats, but then they call themselves cats. There's a county called Down, and whenever they're at a Gaelic football or hurling game, we say up the Dacia for Waterford. They say up down, which is pretty good.
Up down's pretty good.
Up
down. Yeah. And what is who's like a watermelon? Is there anything?
Dude, a couple of years ago, I was in. My wife's American, and we were back in my hometown, and I think she was pregnant at the time, so she was having like cravings of stuff, and she said, "Oh, when you're going to the shop, can you get me watermelon?" And I laughed. I was like, we're in Ireland, there's no fucking watermelons, or like maybe there's watermelons maybe like a couple of months of the year or something, but like it's not a go-to that you can go to the local Tesco and get watermelon.
It's a supremely overrated fruit anyway, so I think
it's mostly water.
You're
it's good
right.
Yeah, no, Wexford people are cool. I like Wexford. They're better than Kilkenny people, so there's always that.
Good to know. We have an email from Bernie in Philadelphia who says his last name is also O'Dwyer.
Nice.
Crazy.
Wow.
During last week's discussion of the Steam Pal, which, if you remember, was the rumored handheld Steam device that Valve may be working on, and Valve did say that they would have something to say about the future of Steam on one of these, either the PC gaming show or the future, I forget which one, but I believe the PC gaming show that's going to happen in a handful of days here. So maybe we'll find out about that stuff then. Anyway, it says, during last week's discussion on the Steam Pal, one thing you didn't mention was the price difference of games between Steam and Switch. Games on Nintendo platforms, not just Nintendo published games, tend to be more expensive. On the other hand, Steam games tend to be a little cheaper, or at least get much cheaper, much more quickly, and go on sale more often. This, coupled with a year's worth of games already in my library, make the idea of a Steam handheld pretty appealing. Obviously, cost and quality will play a factor, but I would love something that I could play while sitting on the couch. Yeah, I think there's certainly an appealing concept there of like a handheld PC. Depending on power, depending on what type of games it could play, like I think there could be something really cool there. I assume, you got to assume something like that is probably running Linux, and so it probably ties into a lot of their efforts around like Proton or whatever.
It is still surprising to me that is not that just has not come to fruition in some way that has moved the needle.
People have tried.
People have tried,
definitely.
But I don't know. That is one thing that is definitely missing from like the arsenal of stuff, especially considering the vast majority of games do not need a 3090, right? Like they need something way less. I don't know. It seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, maybe it just needs someone like a Valve as someone who can really get behind it and promote it and market it and all other stuff, because I feel like all the handheld PCs that I see, a lot of them are just like weird devices out of Asia that you get and then put RetroArch on it and emulate games and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you can kind of, it's like they always like, here's a screenshot of someone using one and look, that's Overwatch. And you're like, okay, it runs Windows, it does this stuff, like, I guess, but it's like, it's one of those things that like people get them and some people are very happy with them, but like they never really caught on. So maybe right price, right device, maybe its time has come. We will see.
Ease of use is such an important part of a handheld too. You'll go to all that effort with a PC, but there's something about the handheld where you just want to pick it up and play in 2 seconds. You don't want to have, hopefully.
Right. Yeah. If you're booting that thing up and it's taken forever, and well, whatever. Modern PCs boot pretty quickly, and they could probably get there. Luca from Chicagoland says, I'm watching a video detailing the history of the N-Gage, and that reminded me that Jeff said there was an incredulity when Microsoft stepped into the console space with the Xbox, because it was, the people that made Office making a video game system. Now, of course, the Xbox and Game Pass is huge, but most companies don't get so lucky. In the year since, what's the company that raised your eyebrows the most? And Luca suggests like the Ouya, Tapwave Zodiac. Like what's the most surprising company to jump into video games that you can think of?
Surprising.
Weirdly, it doesn't really answer it so accurately, but the Nvidia Shield I did think was weird, because for whatever reason I just thought the idea of them doing something like a phase 1 piece of hardware, like the whole thing, right, just because they're like a support hardware company, they make specific things. I found that really like gutsy and sort of out of place in a way.
Yeah,
but obviously they're at least in games.
Yeah, I think it's Sony. I think Microsoft is a great choice as well, but like when Sony got into video games, it was on the heels of the 3DO and the CDI. So you had like Philips and Panasonic, and so these other consumer electronics companies that were making CD-based systems. And so when Sony came along to say we're doing it too, the immediate reaction was just like, this is going to be another Gong show. I'm going to play the Broilers Interactive Dictionary on here, and then watch All Dogs Go to Heaven, and then like play the Horde again, maybe if it can even run something as good as the Horde. And so it seemed like it was destined to become another one of those shit ass multimedia devices, like the CDI or the CDTV. At best you were like, well, maybe it'll be better than the 3DO. Turns out they did pretty well for themselves.
Yeah. I remember that time too. It was just very strange. I remember almost immediately writing it. I mean, I was pretty young, but I just remember being like, oh, is this the thing in Toys R Us that's also not that's gonna collect dust and just not matter?
Right. And ended up being like $800 or something insane like that. Or, the same way some of the CDI and the 3DO were very pricey systems. But Sony was a weird one until you saw that thing in motion. And that was definitely, I tell the story about how at the, that, I guess it was that first E3 where it was very focused on there was a lot of Saturn stuff around, and Sony didn't really have a huge presence, but they were there, taking meetings and stuff, and had a little bit there. But it was some controller company that had a Japanese PlayStation at their booth, and they were just running Toshinden, and they had some fight sticks set up and hooked up to a PlayStation, and that booth dominated the entire show.
Wow, that's nuts.
You're like, oh, Sega's got this whole thing full of Saturn stuff. You're like, that's cool. Yeah, whatever. I'm over here playing fucking, have you seen this fucking PlayStation? Holy shit. And it was immediately, Saturn was immediately dead right then and there, I think, in terms of just like, yeah, the Saturn stuff looks okay, but I don't know. It looks kind of fucked up. So,
yeah, Toshinden was 100% the turning point for me. That's what turned it into a viable system. I'm like, I need to have this right now. Ridge Racer, it wasn't.
Ridge Racer is cool and all. Sure. I didn't come to appreciate Ridge Racer until a few years in, like that first Ridge Racer on PlayStation. It was just like, who would buy this for full price? It's still an arcade racer. It's got like 1 track or 3 tracks. Like this is crazy. But yeah. Chris in South Dakota has a question for the genre dicks. And he says, it's time to quit fucking around. It's time to give the Metroidvania genre an actual name.
Castleroid.
Oh.
All right.
Sorry.
Asked and answered.
Yeah. It had that one ready to go there.
Yeah. I thought that wasn't the end of the email. I was doing one of those insert something while Jeff's speaking situations. I didn't mean to just wrap it up like the Jesus Christ thing.
No, oh yeah, you silenced everybody with that one. I feel like that's not bad though. It's good. I also, I get what that is. Wouldn't it be fun to just come up with a brand new word, brand new thing?
Oh, I did not make that up. Yeah, that is.
No. But even so, right? Like you get what that is, right? But like I want a new word, a new thing, a new word. Let's invent it. Let's maybe let it marinate.
I think the real dumb thing about this is that like they should just be called Metroid likes, because like Castlevania was just doing what Metroid, or the relevant Castlevania games were just doing what Metroid was doing. And there are plenty of Castlevania games that don't do that, to where it's like the Metroidvania part, like the Vania part of that is kind of weird. Really, they're Metroid likes in a way, but really, it's an action adventure.
Yes,
it's just a specific flavor of action adventure. Like, can we come up with a sub genre of action adventure?
Want to name the flavor. They want to name the flavor. Yeah,
that details the idea of. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about non-linear progress based on item acquisitions, right? Like that is the thing of these games. You have to collect an item to open up a pathway that was previously sealed, and you're backtracking to get there.
One map? Is that crucial? One map?
I don't think it's necessarily. Well, what do you mean in that context? Because like if you break original Metroid down, it kind of had it had one map per area.
Okay.
Or you kind of went into like Brinstar and all the other stuff. And
I guess everything is accessible or inaccessible based on your ability, not based on any sort of like story beat, or like it is directly resulted to your ability to get around. Is that hard and fast or not? Or is that
that's
you're gated by items, like you're gated by abilities, and there's a cycle to it. Oh, look, I like Jan really.
He's brainstorming
out of the ears there.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of is Gauntlet one of these, because you have to find keys to open doors, and
is Doom
is Doom one of these, because it's
kind of.
I do really like the idea that Castlevania is like stealing valor here. Like they shouldn't be in the mix at all. Like they're just like cribbing off of Metroid.
Yeah, you're lucky to even be in that name there, bud.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
Well, they only have the Vania part. Metroid's got the whole word in there.
Yeah,
good point.
I suppose that helps. But
it's not Metrovania,
right? Do we just go all the way and we have Metroid likes and then Metroid lights, depending on?
Oh no! What did you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's a Metroid like
definition of Metroid?
Jump locks games. You're jump locked. You'll get there with the double jump sooner or later.
I like that. You'll get there with a double jump sooner or later. That's the name of the genre.
Yeah. It's one of those.
I like that.
I've heard this term as well. Common Otaku says search action is a term I've heard for Metroidvania.
I like the Tower Unite aspect of that phrase. Right?
Yes.
Like
I was playing my favorite search action games.
Like that tickles the same thing.
Yeah.
Upgrades, gates,
upgrades.
upgrade them up.
Upgrade gates. They're upgrades.
What's upgrade?
Not much. What's upgrade with you?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. Things are great.
All right.
Greater.
Genre and naming genres is difficult, it turns out.
It is.
Yeah.
It's tough being
you start to see why people have just stuck with Metroidvania, because it's just like, well,
right. It's stuck.
Whatever.
It's like the path of least resistance or something. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's how these things happen. Aaron from New York writes in and says, "Just thought you should know that DC put out a digital first comic book. I saw this. This is, I don't understand. A digital first comic book called Spy Hunter and Paperboy, written by G.I. Joe legend Larry Hama.
What?
Such a bizarre thing. To my knowledge, it's the first WB is using their Midway properties in this fashion. Here's the blurb for it. Paperboy Johnny Martinez finds himself caught up in the world of international intrigue of a super spy codenamed Spy Hunter.
That's a pretty shit code name.
Yeah, it's pretty shit. It's a 6-issue miniseries. that just came out this month. And yeah, not only are they finally using some of these Midway properties, that they decided to use 2 at once and have the Paperboy meet the Spy Hunter. I don't.
Finally. Is that canon? Was that his name?
No.
Paperboy?
The name of the Paperboy, I do not believe he had a name. In subsequent console-only sequels, you could play as Paper Girl as well.
Cool.
And you can throw papers to both sides of the street. It's ridiculous.
What? There's a right side?
I know. Spy Hunter, I think there has been... I don't have to go look at that, because that last game that had The Rock in it, I don't know if they gave him a separate name. I think they did. I think they did.
That could be cool. If it's... Like, I'm sure they're not taking it seriously. Like,
I would hope not.
Playing fast and loose with the material there, source material.
Yeah, and I feel like does the paper at any point in this 6-issue miniseries, does the Paperboy ride his bicycle into the back of the Spy Hunter weapons van and then come out with machine guns and an oil slick and missiles for shooting down helicopters? Like that, I feel like that's the moment I want to see about these properties colliding. Is the Paperboy's bike having all the Spy Hunter weapons on it? That would be...
Makes sense.
Real stupid.
The natural evolution.
Yeah. Get a couple more questions in here, and then we'll send it on home. Sham Pipple D writes in.
Great name.
Says, yeah. Around E3, I got to thinking, how can gaming websites write speculative prediction articles for upcoming announcements when immediately after the announcement, they already have articles and videos ready to go? Is it one hand not talking to the other, or is it my theory that they purposely write a mix of vague fact and fake predictions so that they can claim some hits while not breaking NDAs? Can you shed some light on how sites approach speculation articles when they already likely have insider knowledge?
This is actually a pretty good question, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. The way we handled it back in the day with GameSpot and the GameSpot news team is we didn't tell them anything. So when we had stuff lined up for E3, or if we had like articles ready to go, or if we had like, hey, we're getting the exclusive on this thing, we didn't tell news. And so they were free to report on whatever they could find out, out there in the world of sources and leaks and all this other stuff. Though they were not super big into the leak stuff then. So that wasn't really their beat per se. It would allow them to have that autonomy to kind of chase that stuff down, even if we had other stuff happening over here. Did one side interfere with the other? Like, I'm sure that line probably got blurred in ways it shouldn't have a couple of times, where it's like, someone's walking by someone's desk and sees video of a trailer for something that we're, helping to announce the following day or something. There's going to be exceptions to that rule for sure, but in those cases, you probably just don't write the article. I think that's typically how we handled it. And I don't know.
I just don't remember a lot of times where that kind of was a thing. I mean, when I was doing the years that I would go to E3 with CNET, I wasn't sitting on a lot of information. I feel like a lot of these predictive things were before the press conferences, and they were sort of like, hey, predict what's going to get announced. It was almost like the bingo card kind of shtick.
Yeah.
GameStop, it sounds like that dynamic was much more separate. Again, maybe CNET didn't have like that kind of division of like the game news and the game coverage kind of thing. But yeah,
it also like behooves both parties to have that setup, because you don't like, if you are in the news department and things, like being accurate isn't what, if you're trying to get views, you're not being accurate with your predictions doesn't necessarily equate to that. What you're trying to do, if you're trying to get traffic, is talk about the stuff people care about. So the fact that the reason why there's so much Starfield exposition, for instance, or chatter, and has been and will continue to be, is because people will click on it. Like if we did a, not only, but like the reason why they're talking about that and not some sequel to some property that nobody cares about is because of that. So like when we would do, I remember before E3, like one of the biggest drivers on GameSpot was the what we think will come, right? And like that's a very honest way of like being like, this is genuinely what we think will come. And people want to click on it because the title has, you know, the names of games like new Halo, new blah, blah, blah. But it's also like, you know, you're not being deceitful, but it's a little bit of like, you know, cheddar for the views, sure, but it's also like a pretty normal thing that people would be searching for around that time. So I'm with you. I think, you know, the preview review team, I know you guys did that before my time at GameSpot. It was a little bit removed because our news department was very, like, it was Eddie McCoo who was off on his own. He wasn't even at the office reporting on most of this stuff. You know, there was an obvious delineation there, but, you know, you didn't want it. It's harder to report on rumors if you know, because then you're basically lying, right? And you're probably breaking embargo. So it's better not to know.
Yeah. So there would definitely be cases where, you know, we were under embargo on something and a leak would happen and you'd be like, well, we need to be able to report on this leak. And so you would end up in the situation where you're like, well, we're going to report on the leak. We're not going to verify it we're not going to introduce any new information to it.
Right.
But we will say this thing leaked. And here's what this report says. And we are not saying one way or the other if it is factual or not, even though we know it to be factual because we've got 6 screenshots and a Excel sheet of it over here. And so you would end up in weird situations like that. And sometimes you would get hamstrung on that where you know, and where someone would break an embargo and you would be sitting there with all the same details and be like, well, we need to run with this. What the fuck? This is stupid. And you'd have a publisher trying to like put the genie back in the bottle. Be like, no, you can't. No, we're still sticking to the NDA. We're still sticking to the embargo.
Like, but it's out there.
So then you end up in a situation where you're reporting that it's out there, and you're just like, well, whatever. Like this, like NDA. Who cares? Like, are we still even going to run a story? Like maybe it doesn't matter anymore because all these details leaked out, and we're just going to run our, hey, these guys are reporting this, and then just like, that's it. We're not going to go write a separate big thing confirming it because that's just dumb. But yeah, you'd end up in some weird situations like that here and there. But generally, the ideal way I feel is to have different people working on those different things, right? So you've got your people that are separate from that whole conversation of NDAs and embargoes and all other shit, and they're just free to report on whatever. And if they stumble into something that you are NDA'd on, then you maybe have to have a tense phone call or two where you're just like, yeah, they don't. You know, or ideally you're talking that through with a publisher as you're signing this NDA, saying like, hey, just so you know, if something leaks, we're going to report on the leak. And that is, I think, eventually what became the GameSpot position was like, if some of this leaks out and we have a thing under NDA, even, you know, we are either going to go with our stuff or we are going to cover that leak. And generally it ended up being the cover the leak stuff because you're not, again, introducing new information into that. And now preview coverage is such a weird, different thing now that is barely existent in a lot of ways that, in those terms that stuff just doesn't come up as much anymore. So it's kind of whatever.
Just Game Informer now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're just like, what's on the cover of Game Informer this month? Is it something good? All right. Last thing here, Jan, I sent you an image courtesy of Dan in Sydney, Australia, who just says, can you explain this Duke Nukem E3 ad? And if you could put this on the screen. For the folks listening to audio, it's a picture of Duke Nukem holding a gun. This is a Duke Nukem Forever ad saying it's out June 14th. And it says, this gun's not gonna... @ %, ampersand, $, itself, with the implication being that Duke Nukem is saying this gun's not gonna fuck itself because he's gonna fuck the gun. I came here to fuck this gun. Let me whip it out and stick my dick down the barrel of this gun.
How is this allowed?
This doesn't. I don't remember this.
I don't remember this either. Like I'm sitting here looking at this, wondering if this is fake, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think this
honestly,
might be.
I don't care. Because it's so
a very
good.
believable thing. Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like towards the tail end of Duke Nukem Forever, I think they did start to get a little weird with it in a way that like I kind of can't hate on.
He didn't fuck a gun in that game.
I don't. No, you did not. You did not fuck a gun in Duke Nukem Forever. I feel like I would have. I
should be fine.
I think
So he's saying this is a case of false advertising here. That there should be a class action suit.
I love how it's like there's such confidence in this potentially fake ad here that is just like he's this guy is dead fucking serious.
This doesn't look super real to me. Like if you stare at this looks like it is photoshopped on, especially in the lower right corner of the billboard.
Yeah, a little bit of feathering there.
But that said, I love this.
It's the most believable thing that anybody could have potentially.
He's also loading the gun. So
he's like, not only am I fucking this gun, I'm gonna potentially blow my dick off in the process.
But also, is he talking to you? I mean, like, is he implying like, "Hey, buddy, I'm loading up this gun, and it ain't gonna fuck itself. You got to get over here, man.
You got to get over here. Fuck it.
Maybe it's shit. Maybe this gun's not gonna shit itself.
And then you got to unload, with the gun.
That's the key here. It's either fuck or shit, and now my money's split 50-50.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah,
it's actually art. This is art, and it's supposed to make you think.
It's definitely got me thinking. There's a handful of other pictures of this billboard around the internet. When you do a Google search, people in chat are kind of digging those up, and I don't.
Yeah, people are saying it's real, and it was supposed to be suck.
Who says who?
Which guess what? You're allowed to say suck. Number one.
Right. Yeah.
If it's suck, it still doesn't make sense.
He's just gonna suck on his gun, guys. It's just a normal guy thing to do. It's just load your gun and just fillet it for a while.
Is that what they mean by flavor blasted?
I think so. Yeah.
I think maybe. Way more questions than answers here.
Is he cocking the gun? Is that what?
Well, that would be like this.
Oh, like this gun's not going to cock
itself?
He's pushing the magazine into and then he would have to cock it afterwards.
Right.
There's linking to a tweet about this with someone saying, saying this gun's not going to suck itself would be the line, specifically because Duke Nukem Forever had a bunch of moments where Duke takes a famous quote and replaces a keyword with the word gun, resulting in absolute nonsense. And Lance McDonald here claims that they're the only funny part of the game.
This gun's not gonna gun itself.
It's not gonna shoot itself off. I've got low T.
That's good, Jeff. You do it all right, buddy.
It's
I loaded up an article here that says 26 English swear words that you thought were harmless. It could be piss, maybe.
Oh, is this like a George Carlin bit? Like
Australia, that you could put piss on a billboard, I bet.
Yeah, but this is E3, so he's from Australia, but this is an E3 billboard.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So piss is on the table.
Piss is on the table. You got to wipe it off. So I don't know. This image came in and I enjoy it regardless of where it came from and how valid it is. It seems like something that could be real, could be not. I don't want to zoom in on this image enough to determine one way or the other.
Yeah.
Because I just love it as it is.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I'm going to fuck this gun if you don't.
What is that implying about? No, I don't want to go down this hole.
He's just like so jazzed too.
I'm going to go down this hole. With my dick in this gun. I'm talking about the gun hole because this gun's not going to fuck itself.
I guess there's multiple holes he could stick it in. If he takes the magazine out, that's...
Sure. Yeah, you could... Yeah. I mean, it's like a rectangular hole, so that's kind of...
Hey.
Well... I don't want to kink shame, especially Duke Nukem of all people.
No.
So thanks to everyone who wrote in with their various emails, including Duke Nukem image, which is a real treat. And that's going to do it for us here at the Giant Bombcast. Thanks everybody for sticking around and watching the show. And if you're watching here live, if you're not, that's hello wherever you are. Or what are you doing? Are you riding a bike? What do you do?
Are you a paper boy?
Are you fucking a gun? Are you listening to this podcast are you fucking a gun? Look, I want to tell people, if you are fucking guns, I want you to be as safe as possible with that.
Be careful.
I'm inclined to say you should not fuck a gun. And I just don't think that's safe. But
orange tips,
use protection.
Exactly. Yeah. Get at least get an airsoft gun. If you can
work up to it.
Yes, exactly. Start small and work your way. All right, well, I gotta go. We gotta get out of here. This gun's not gonna fuck itself, and I got some shit I gotta do. So I'll be out here fucking these guns, and then we'll be back on Thursday as the Jeff Keighley Fest kicks off to take a look at Jeff Goldblum and whatever else he's got on tap.
Jeff's, is this a thing? Is this been a thing?
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if Jeff Goldblum has any shows he wants to pitch. Maybe we could make him play that Jurassic Park game where he talked shit to the player when you finish it 100%, right? So yeah, you'll see us on Thursday with that. Everybody take care. Have a great week. Have a good E3.
Yeah,
I guess.
Great E3,
by the time we talk again on the Giant Bombcast, we will have seen everything E3, pretty much everything E3 has to offer will come to you. If the Nintendo thing ends up running late, our start time next week, we'll kind of follow that. We'll watch all of that and then do a podcast afterwards. So maybe that'll happen. And watch the schedule on the front page of the site with the conferences we'll be talking over. Again, that starts Thursday morning. So come on back, check some shit out, and we'll talk soon.
What's happening?
Bye.
Have a good show.
Have a good show. Fuck these guns.
Have a good show.